The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. With all the speculation about how tonight's first round of the NFL draft will play out, never mind the picks themselves, what about trades? ESPN's Chris Canty.
I was told by somebody that's in the know that they wouldn't be surprised if we have double-digit trades in the first round tonight.
Double-digit?
Double-digit trades.
Starting around what pick would we say?
I would probably say start looking at that number 3 overall pick.
Ooh.
But I wouldn't even rule out the number 2 overall pick.
Chris Canty and the gang on Unsportsmanlike. For now, at least, the Bears pick first, the Commanders second, the Patriots third. Live coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and TV, 8 Eastern on ABC. Dusty Baker is the winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award presented by Baseball Digest. Baker retired last year after 56 years in the majors as a player, coach, and manager. He won a World Series as a player with the Dodgers in 1981 and won as a manager with the Astros in 2022.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Friday, we'll recap every pick of the first round of the draft and get you ready for round 2. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Used to. And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. It is draft day, so where else would we begin? Let us start as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, we are exactly 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 53 seconds away from the start of the NFL draft. Let us begin with Josh Edwards, CBS Sports Draft analyst, good enough to jump aboard with us here with some news and notes just as we push off from the dock. Josh, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing well. Excited for tonight, of course, with the possibility of several trades here in the first round. I think we're going to have one of the more entertaining drafts that we've seen in recent memory.
I think maybe the most interesting thing that's popped up in the last 24 hours, maybe a couple of things, but it sounds like maybe the possibility of a team jumping all the way up to 2 for Jaden Daniels, possibly the Raiders. You put any credence into that Raiders, Minnesota going up to 2?
So, and at this point in the process, we've heard just about every possible scenario. We've heard that J.J. McCarthy is not going to be the pick for the Giants, and then we hear J.J. McCarthy say that he has not had more contact with any team than the New York Giants. We've heard that the Vikings should possibly stay put at number 11 overall and take a quarterback there. So we've heard just about everything, and there's a lot of incentive for these teams to put out misinformation so other teams are not able to predict accurately what is going to happen, because you don't want to show your cards too early and potentially hurt yourself in the trade negotiations, things of that nature. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock into what we're hearing just yet.
I think there's always subterfuge and smoke and mirrors and all different types of stuff that happen around now. One of the things that also seems to be materializing is the Chargers staying at 5 and selecting an offensive lineman. All of the sports books have had the odds just shift immensely in those favors. I saw your latest mock draft. You have the Chargers trading back out of 5 and Minnesota going up to take J.J. McCarthy. What level of confidence do you have in that as a projection?
I think it is an educated guess. I think there's reason to believe that is what Los Angeles does with the number 5 overall pick. Coming from Baltimore, Joe Horitz, the general manager, that organization has always valued having several draft assets through the course of these 3 days. So by moving back, it allows you to accumulate more and address other positions of need, because offensive tackle is certainly going to be high on their list, but they also have to address wide receiver. They have to address defensive tackle, cornerback. There's a lot of needs that this team needs to fill. And even though we want to associate J.C. Latham with them, I think it possibly makes more sense for them to do so at number 11 overall than staying put at number 5 and taking that player.
So Josh Edwards is with us, CBS Sports Draft Analyst. Catch him on Twitter at EdwardsCBS. No better time than right now, obviously, to do that and get all this great content. Let me ask you about some LSU guys. Obviously, we're here in Baton Rouge, and there's a ton of people here that are LSU fans that are going to be curious about the 3 guys. You believe Jaden will be the number 2 pick to Washington?
I do. Everything that we've heard over the past couple of weeks suggests that, yes, Washington is locked into Jaden Daniels with the number 2 overall pick.
Okay.
Cliff Kingsbury, coming from his background, having coached multiple dual-threat quarterbacks, it does make a lot of sense in that regard.
What about Malik Neighbors and the scenarios that surround him if the Giants don't take him at 6, which seems to be the most commonly mocked possibility?
Yeah, there's been some late buzz that maybe even New York favors Romadunze at the wide receiver position. But I don't think it's going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things. If Odunze goes before Malik Neighbors, I still think you will see a team be active, getting into the top 10 and possibly taking Neighbors. In my mock draft that we referenced earlier, I had the Jets leapfrogging Chicago to number 8 overall, with the Falcons to take the final wide receiver on the board. In that instance, it was Romadunze. If it happens to be Malik Neighbors, I think the Jets, the Colts, the Jaguars, all of those teams would be very interested in getting into that pick, because if he does not go number 8 overall, then he's probably going number 9 overall to the Bears. I think they want to do everything they can to support Caleb Williams as a rookie. So that would be the scenario that I'm watching. I don't think we're going to see some drastic fall for Malik Neighbors.
What about Brian Thomas, the other LSU wide receiver? That, man, it seems like, Josh, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that there's the biggest range of possibilities for Brian Thomas, as high as maybe in the early teens, as low as maybe in the late 20s. What do you see as the possibilities tonight for Brian Thomas?
I honestly think number 20 overall may be the floor for Brian Thomas Jr., and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a need at the position. They could also go offensive line, but an ideal scenario for Thomas would be those 3 wide receivers going in the top 5 or 6 picks. If we don't see a team trade up for a quarterback, then you would assume there's at least 2 wide receivers going in the top 6, which suddenly creates a run at the position. So if we're sitting at number 9 overall, all 3 of those wide receivers are off the board, Brian Thomas is the next guy that you would call. So do you want to risk waiting until number 20 overall to get that player? Probably not. So I think you could see those teams that I mentioned earlier, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Steelers, possibly, consider moving up and taking Brian Thomas Jr. But at the end of the day, if we see a run at the position early, that's going to benefit Thomas in the long run.
You project the Saints to do what, the Saints always do. which is I was asked yesterday on another show in another market, what do you think the possibilities of the Saints moving back? It's like, no, never, they don't do that. It's just not a thing that they ever do. They're more likely to find a guy they love and go up and get him. You project the Saints trading with Sean Payton and the Broncos to go up to 12 to get Olu Fashanu. It's interesting, Josh, because most people here think Fashanu is going to be there at 14 for the Saints. Walk me through the scenario here that you lay out.
Yeah, well, when we began this conversation, we talked about the smoke screens and not trusting teams. I think one of the few things that you can trust is the Saints will identify a player that they really want, and they'll be aggressive in possibly moving up to get that player. They've done it with Chris Olave, they did it with Marcus Davenport, and others in the past, so there's no reason to believe that's going to change. Specifically, how I came to the decision of them moving up to attack Fashanu at number 12 overall, there's some familiarity there with the organization. They orchestrated the trade for Sean Payton a year ago, so you already have the phone lines open between those two teams. And with offensive tackle being such a big need for them, you cannot sit back and hope that that player falls to you. It's just not in the Saints' nature to do that. So if you have to move up a couple of picks to get that player, even if you think there's a possibility he could be available at number 14 overall, I don't think that the Saints will hesitate to do that.
Got a couple more for you. Josh Edwards, good enough to give us a few minutes on a just enormously busy day. He's on Twitter at EdwardsCBS, CBS NFL Sports, NFL Draft Analyst. There's always guys that fall, and there's guys that rise who nobody sees coming. Who do you think is someone that tonight could be primed for a fall relative to what a lot of the mock drafts tend to think about a player?
Yeah, it's funny because we've kind of gone full circle in this process. You see names like Kingsley Suamataia fall out of first round out of the NFL draft. I don't think that would be a surprise at all. I think he's one of the best. I shouldn't say in this draft class. So I could possibly see him getting into the first round. As far as a potential faller in the first, a little bit more recently, I know there was a lot of buzz that he would get into the first round and possibly even into the top 20. I never saw that on film. I thought he was more of a day 2 prospect from the beginning. And the buzz around that seems to be leveling off a little bit. I think at the end of the first night, there is a possibility that he could be there, even though we've seen him constantly mocked into the first round.
Well, one thing is for certain. It's always great theater when the draft rolls around, and this is when hope springs eternal for all 32 teams. Josh Edwards will be locked in. Hey, man, can't thank you enough for a couple of minutes on a really busy day. Thanks so much for making some time.
Of course, always have to do it.
It's our pleasure. Make sure you get him on Twitter at EdwardsCBS. That's Josh Edwards, again, NFL draft analyst for CBS Sports. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with a great taste of Bud Light. We'll be over at Don Juan tonight. Better believe I'll have a few ice-cold pops while we're making our way through the draft with our Draft Watch show tonight. But no matter where you are, look, our friends at Mockler and Bud Light are always great supporters of the community. They're sponsoring the LSU-Alexandria Golf Tournament this weekend, the McNeese Football Golf Tournament, the Our Lady of Mercy Fair in Baton Rouge, the St. John and Prairieville Fair. I mean, you go all over and you see that Bud Light logo because you know that Bud Light and our friends at Mockler are great supporters of our community and have been for 4 decades. Mockler is synonymous with Baton Rouge, really with all of South Louisiana when you consider their home office. They just acquired Southwest Bev in Lake Charles, where we were just a few weeks back up in Alexandria. So, of course, drink easy with the Champs, official beer of the LSU Tigers, and the official beer of AFR, Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. We're going to head up to – we got a jam-packed show today. Thanks to Josh for making some time. I mean, you can imagine on draft day when you're inside of 4 hours from the draft, it's kind of busy. But we appreciate him making a few minutes for us. We will talk to Kendall Rogers in about 47 minutes, top hour 2, as we always do, talk a little SEC baseball. When we come back, we're going to head up to Detroit, though. Our guy, Jake Hester, is up there working with SiriusXM covering the draft, but he's going to carve out a couple of minutes for us when we come back. Boots on the ground. What's the buzz there in Detroit? A feel for the LSU guys with Hester, who's up there in Detroit next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. Make sure you give our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air a call. Schedule that preseason AC tune-up. Make sure you do this. Do not go into the summer months without having River City's 1 Hour Air come out. Make sure your home central AC is tuned up and ready to roll for the coming warm weather when that thing is going to be running round the clock 24/7. Every single day throughout the summer months. Make sure it's reliable so that way you don't get left sweating with your entire family in your home with a broken down AC with very expensive repairs or replacement. Extend the life of your unit as well. This is like getting the oil changed in your car. You would not just run your car for 10 years without ever changing the oil. Don't do that to your AC. Let River City's 1 Hour Air come out and help. 752-0001, 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. To keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. Mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
3 hours, 42 minutes, 47 seconds away from the start of the NFL draft. Let's head up to Detroit. Our guy Jake Hester's up there. 18, how are you, man?
I am doing well. Let's just say it's a little bit colder here than it is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and my southern brain just doesn't think about things like that. So it's a little chilly up here. And I'm going to find a way to stay warm somehow, some way, I guess.
Set the scene for us. Like, I'm looking at some pictures from the NFL Twitter account with the red carpet and all. It's like this. It looks like a palace, the inside of it. Where is this thing?
Yeah, so it's like a big open area, this big open park area that they have in downtown Detroit. And I realize that, like, Detroit is not, like, the most glamorous place, and the draft used to be in New York City every single year, but being here the last 2 years, last year in Kansas City, this year in Detroit, the cool thing is, I mean, these are old NFL cities. They've been in this game a long time, and you can tell, like, it means something to them. They're taking pride in having the draft in their city. When I was in Vegas for the Super Bowl, I mean, they had a ton of people from Detroit, from the Chamber of Commerce there, like, passing out pens and notebooks and all the things like that. You get to the airport last night, Matt, and it's decorated with all draft stuff, and so you can tell that they're proud to have the draft here. It's going to be a big deal and looking forward to it.
You get the sense that the aside from just like obviously Chamber of Commerce, like I mean the entire nation is going to be watching Detroit because this has become just a giant TV show. But do you get a sense that the city, like there's going to be fan turnout, like with just the buzz around town when you're around?
Oh, no question about it. We did a site check earlier from where we're doing our show, and that was like 5 hours ago, and it was already packed pretty much. Wow. And the thing that's cool, obviously, it's a lot of Lions jerseys, but I mean, the NFC North is well represented. A ton of Bears, a ton of Vikings. Obviously, the Bears, number 1, number 9 pick. The Vikings think that they're going to possibly trade. They have 2 picks in the first round as well. But no, it was already starting to fill up 5 hours ago. And so the turnout I would expect. Now, it might not be Nashville from a couple of years ago. That was like the all-timer. but it's going to be very similar to what it was last year in Kansas City.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Minnesota because obviously the Vikings trading up to get a quarterback has been a huge storyline. Their boots on the ground, I know you've been there about 24 hours now. What are the narratives around people around the draft there in Detroit? Like, what's the conversations like everywhere you go?
Well, the one that I've had with a couple of NFL people are the main one is it Drake May that they're trading up for? Are they going to get to 3, speaking of Minnesota, or is it going to be 5 with the Chargers to get J.J. McCarthy? Because for so long we talked about them trading up to 5 to get J.J., but they think they have a real chance to get up to number 3 to select Drake May. Now, they don't think they can get to 2 to select Jaden Daniels, but that's really been the conversation is how far up is Minnesota going to go? You know it's going to take 11 and 23, whatever you do, but if you move up to 3 and not 5, you're having to put a pretty big piece together with that 11 and 23 pick. And so that's something to watch is if Minnesota goes up to 3, it looks like it's going to be Drake May. If they go up to 5, it's going to be J.J. McCarthy.
What's the conversation like around the LSU players? I mean, I'm assuming everyone there is assuming, look, Jaden's going 2. It's just a matter, like, is it Washington or someone else go? But what about Malik and Brian Thomas?
So for Malik, I talked to a lot of people, Matt, that have him number 1 on their board as far as receivers. It's not this clean sweep of Marvin Harrison Jr. that everyone would lead you to believe. In fact, like Vegas has Marvin Harrison Jr. minus 1,200 to be the first receiver taken, and I think Malik's like plus 650. I don't know that it's going to happen, but that's incredible value. If you're talking to the people I am, I mean, it's like split 50-50. There's a lot of people that have Malik number 1 as far as receiver on their board, and I can't imagine that he falls past 6 to the Giants. Now, selfishly, as an LSU guy, I don't want him to go to the Giants. They don't have very much to be excited about, but I don't think that he falls past 6. I mean, I don't see him going 7 to Tennessee, 8 to the Falcons, 9 to the Bears with that second pick. 9 feels like a Rome Odunze spot, which would be a great pick for Chicago, but I think if you're a Malik Neighbors fan, you hope that he gets selected by Arizona or the LA Chargers and not the New York Giants. But there's a lot of buzz that he could be the first receiver off the board, and so that is some great value there. As far as BTJ, unfortunately, we're hearing that there might be a labrum issue, and I do understand that is something that you have to worry about, but he's not playing running back. He's not playing edge defender. A labrum for a receiver would not be that big of a deal for me. And so BTJ might slip a little bit in the first round. He might end up at the latter portion, somewhere like Buffalo there in the high 20s, but I still think he's going to be a first-round pick.
I've seen as high as like 15 to Indy, 17 to Jacksonville is pretty common. You're right. Buffalo is the thing you see a lot, but Buffalo didn't pick until 28. Is there some thought that Buffalo might be on the move up to get Brian Thomas?
Well, I think it's a shoulder issue, and I think that a lot of people believe that he'll fall to Buffalo because of it. And so he might go from somebody I'm like you, Matt. I mean, I have him kind of 15 through 18, but with this shoulder issue, he might last all the way to 28. Again, I don't think that's very smart. He's going to be ready for camp. Even if he had surgery right now, he'd be ready. And again, he's playing receiver. He's not trying to play running back where he's playing behind his pads. And so I hate that. It's always this time of year where something like that kind of scares teams off. But still, if he goes to Buffalo and you're Brian Thomas Jr., you might be the number 1 from day one. In fact, you probably would be. And so that could also be exciting, even though you do lose out on a couple of $1 million.
Yeah. And with it all being, and remember, I know it's worth reminding people, all the first round draft numbers are slotted now. With the CBA that changed back in 2011. So that's why you don't see guys hold out anymore. So there's no sense in that. Basically, where you're slotted is the dollar amount that essentially you're going to get. Hey, before you go, man, give us some insight into what draft day is like from a player's perspective when there's uncertainty but excitement and all those different blends of emotions.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because I've never been through an emotion like that before, and I'll probably never do it again because you just don't know. It's such a great unknown, and when you're picking a college school, like you have the choice. Like you have all these scholarships, and you're kind of weighing the pros and cons, and ultimately you get to choose. In this process, Matt, like you just have no idea. And like for me, I was somebody who was already married, and we started a family, and I could be going to Buffalo, I could be going to Detroit, and I end up in San Diego. It's a wild kind of feeling to know that you're going to live out your dream, but you have no idea where it's going to be. You hope that the fit's right. And for me, I was anywhere between the 3rd round and the 5th round. And so, like, I didn't even know really where I was going to get drafted as far as round. And obviously that matters as well. I would have sworn to you that I was going to be a Detroit Lion. And then turns out, like, I end up in San Diego. I'll take that trade. But
hey, bro, you do have to deal with income taxes, bro. Like, state income taxes in California sucks hard, man. That's the one trade-off.
True. Yeah, that's very, very true. There was one year where I paid more than I actually made, and we can have that discussion as well. Yeah, it was brutal. It was not a great. Well, it was a great year, but it wasn't a great year. But I can't like think of anything else where you're going to live your dream, but it's just like you have no say so in it. And so, like, I remember just waiting around and wondering what was going to happen. Where am I going to live? You think you're going to go to one place because you talked to that team at the Senior Bowl, the Combine, the pre-draft process. You go on a pre-draft visit to that team, and all of a sudden here comes this team that you have like 2 conversations with. You might have talked to like an advanced scout at the Combine, and they're the team that actually drafts you. So it's the great unknown. It's what, you know, as a media member, as a fan, makes it so exciting, but as a player, there's a lot of stress.
Jacob Hester up there in Detroit doing some work with SiriusXM. Good enough to join us here for a couple minutes. Hey, when is your broadcast tonight? If people are on SiriusXM, want to give a listen.
Yes, so we will actually be from, Central Time. I think we're going to be from 6 to 11. So Eastern Time here, boots on the ground, will be 7 to midnight. We'll do that tonight and tomorrow night. We cover the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round. It will be me, Dari Noka, EJ Manuel, and former Bucks GM Mark Dominic.
Hey, what in the world is Detroit doing in the Eastern Time Zone? That doesn't make any sense.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does feel weird. I mean, I get it. Like, you go straight up from Louisiana, you're going to hit Minnesota, but it's just a short jog east to get to Michigan. I mean, I don't know. That just feels a little aggressive for them to be in the Eastern Time Zone. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
And I have had hits all day long. I've probably done about 10 to 12. And my brain trying to, figure out time zones right now, I feel like I'm just all over the place.
Yeah.
And so it feels, because I feel like I'm in Central Time Zone, but I'm not.
That's when you just got to commit, man, to being like, hey, just give me your Central Time Zone time to everybody you talk to. Like, I'm not talking Pacific Mountain. I don't even know. All right, man. Hey, enjoy the time up there. Thanks for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Hopefully I can come on tomorrow and we can celebrate a great draft choice by the New Orleans Saints, a tackle that we're all excited about.
Well, if it's not a tackle, I'm going to burn this shirt that I'm wearing today. It's got to be. There is no other.
If it's not a tackle, we riot.
What do we do? So seriously, if it's not a tackle, what are we doing? Like, why are we even trying to field a team at this point?
I'm with you.
All right, dude. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Talk to y'all later.
See ya. That's Hester up there in. I combined Jake 18 and Hester there, and I went, hey, Hester 18, Jake. We all call him whatever. Appreciate a couple minutes there from Hester. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I do want to talk about the Brian Thomas thing in just a second, about the money that he stands to gain or lose here in just a quick second. But we are brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, Mother's Day right around the corner. Yeah, Mother's Day's right around the corner, guys. Thrill her with a gift in the red box. If it's your mom or the mother of your children, Lee Michaels has the perfect gift. Look, go to the website. You'll see right there on the homepage, gifts for mom, Mother's Day. There's a tab right there that you could search, or go into any of their locations. 9 different locations in all. If you're in Baton Rouge, there's 2. There's a location in New Orleans, Lafayette, in Shreveport as well, and always online at lmfj.com, lmfj.com. Guys, take all the guesswork out of it. You will thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Happy Mother's Day from Lee Michaels. So to Hester's point there, if we look at the slot values in this year's draft, so just thinking Brian Thomas, right? And that's one of the things we always talk about, man. We always talk about the stinking medical. Like, the medical and the interviews at the Combine are the most important thing. Well, we've seen Brian Thomas mocked anywhere from like as high as 15 to Indy. We had Josh Edwards with us earlier. He said Brian Thomas's floor is 20 to Pittsburgh. But you heard Hester say it. A lot of people think Buffalo could be a target there at 28. So just look at this range from 15 to 28. Indy as the 15th pick, slot value there is $16.69 million. Okay. Buffalo at 28 is $13.5 million. So that range from 15 to 28 for Brian Thomas potentially, you're talking about a difference. It's almost $3.5 million that he stands to gain or lose depending on how he slides in that scale. So, I mean, that is a massively significant amount of money. When you're talking about that rookie draft, that pick, and I mean, if he's if he goes 15 to Indy, that's $16.6 million. 20 to Pittsburgh is 14.7. So you're still talking about a difference of $2 million just if you fall on those 5 picks right there. So that range, if that's where Brian Thomas falls, you'd love to see him land maybe somewhere at like 15 to Indy, 17 to Jacksonville. That's going to be the best possible scenario financially and also just for team scenario. Now, look, Buffalo, you got Josh Allen there. You got a great organization to be with, an organization that's used to winning. You'd step in and be a major factor in that offense from day one if that is what happens. But time will tell as we get closer to the draft. We are 3 hours, 29 minutes, and 28 seconds away from the first round of the draft. We're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. You know where to find them with locations all over South Louisiana. Yesterday, Eric and we drove home from Lafayette late last night. No worries whatsoever, man. The comfort of those, the best tires on the road you'll find anywhere. You get them at Shawbills. You want to have that peace of mind when you get behind the wheel of your vehicle, knowing that you're riding on the best tires on the road, and you don't have to break the bank to do it. Shawbills, that's the place to go. Remember, part of Charlie's Dozen is the price match guarantee. Buy tires at Shawbills. If you find them advertised cheaper somewhere else within 30 days, boom, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. That's just their guarantee. You will not overpay for tires at Shawbills. They will give you the best price on the best tires, and you'll keep coming back year after year for your tire rotations, for your oil changes, for all your standard maintenance when you have big issues or small, because they treat you like family. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. Also, big news for Kim Mulkey here in the last 24 hours. Pels get clobbered in Game 2, and Kendall Rogers in 28 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your park.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
He was convicted on a 10-2 verdict. And so to 25 years in prison. So Cardell Hayes is now 36 years old. Will Smith, you might remember, was shot 8 times, 7 times in the back. The one change is at the time of the first was overturned in this trial. So a tragic story. I mean, in the literal sense, a tragedy involves a death. Of his death. 34 years old, married with 3 children, and there are just no winners at all. But thankfully for the Smith family, they can at least get some closure on this chapter and continue to move on. So Cardell Hayes sentenced to 25 years murder of Will Smith. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Kendall Rogers in 22 minutes. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the Southeastern Conference. We've got a ton of draft stuff to get to throughout the rest of the day. Derek Carr did meet with reporters yesterday, and we're going to, as we get closer, we're 3 hours and 21 minutes away from the start of the first round of the draft, we'll give you all the latest storylines. Jaden Daniels was on Get Up. He spoke on the record about what he's heard. I would give you our take on Saints and LSU and what we think will happen tonight in hour number 1, or excuse me, in hour that when they pulled it, he bounced. They released him from his his NLI, National Letter of Intent. Went to Arizona State. Now, after 1 year at Arizona State, he's headed to Georgia. He's got 4 years of eligibility left. Georgia returns Carson Beck and redshirt freshman Gunnar Stockton.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn's offense got a big boost from wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith. He was Penn State's leading receiver last year. He's committed to Auburn in the transfer portal. Auburn, their offense was 121st nationally in passing last season, and only one receiver with 10 or more receptions from a season ago. So they needed help, and they got it. The 6'1", 184-pound Lambert-Smith will have 1 year of eligibility remaining.
The Florida Gators.
Fifth-year defensive back Ethan Pouncey. He's the cousin of Marquise and Mike Pouncey. He's hitting the transfer portal. He signed with the Gators back in 2020. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Pouncey's departure brings the Gators scholarship total to 85. As of right now, they've only added one transfer this spring, former Air Force tight end Caleb Rios, so expect more Gators to hit the portal as well.
Texas A&M!
Tight end Jerry Johnson has entered the transfer portal. He'll be a sixth-year senior with 1 season of eligibility remaining wherever he goes. Spent the first 4 years of his college career at Rice, then transferred to Texas A&M. A&M has had 8 scholarship players leave during the spring portal window.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And a little basketball note here. Ole Miss has received its 5th transfer portal commitment. Virginia Tech point guard Sean Padula, 6'1" guard. He'll have 1 year of eligibility remaining. He's number 39 overall player in the portal, the 12th best point guard in the portal. He was third-team All-ACC, averaged 16 points a game for Virginia Tech, but he'll finish his career there in Oxford with Chris Beard. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Around the SEC brought to you by Evamore. Man, amazing, great tasting Evermore water. I told you, I've made that change in my life. I have just fully shifted to where this is all I drink now. We go buy the 4 packs of 64 ounce. If I'm just pour it in a cup. If I need water for my Keurig, for coffee. If I'm just drinking out of the bottle. This is the change I've made in my life. It's opened my eyes to the importance of drinking the best possible water. I was a tap water drinker forever. And the more I've learned about it, the more I've learned how much better of a health option it is to drink natural artesian water. I mean, this is, as we say, Mother Nature's masterpiece. Thousands of years in the making. It's been filtering through these underground aquifers. pH range from 8.8 to 9.1. The water's smooth, it's light, it's refreshing, it tastes great, and it is a healthier option for you, for your children, for your family. Make a great choice for you and for your family. Drink Evermore. You can buy it online at evermore.com, EVAMOR, evermore.com, or at great local retailers. And also, if you need another reason, it's a Louisiana company. It's a natural spring, an artesian well in Louisiana. So don't buy from Texas or another country. Buy a Louisiana product. Buy Evermore. All right, it's after further review. Kim Mulkey added 3 real quick before we break, and I'll talk a little Pels in the next segment, sort of out of obligation, although that series feels like it's over. Kim Mulkey added 3 transfers yesterday. This happened while we were in Lafayette. Point guard Cheyenne Day Wilson, first 2 years at Duke. Then last year she was at Miami. She was the ACC Freshman of the Year, so she'll have 3 years remaining. So Kim Mulkey gets the point guard that she needs. She has 3 years of experience. Forgive me. Kim Mulkey gets the point guard that she needs that they lack this year with the exodus or the absence of Alexis Morris, who graduated, and LaKaylee Van Lith did a yeoman's job trying her best to fill that slot. But Kim Mulkey gets the point guard that she needed here. She added another point guard in Miracle Shepard, who's a former 4-star recruit. Started her career in the SEC at Mississippi State, played in 35 games as a freshman, averages 5 points a game, had 48 steals, actually, as well. So you've added 2 point guards here and some shooting help as well with shooting guard. Kaylin Gilbert began her career at Arizona, spent 2 years there, had a breakout sophomore season with averaging 15 and 5, shot 42% from the field, 40% from 3. So in addition to Michaela Williams there out on the perimeter, you've added another front court player there with Kaylin Gilbert coming in from Arizona. So 3 big-time guard prospects out of the portal for Kim Mulkey. She knew where her deficiency was, and she went and addressed it. So big day in the portal for Kim Mulkey and the LSU women's basketball team. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll knock out a quick break. Remember, it is draft day. When we get out of here, we're all heading over to Don Juan Cigar Bar. Invite you to come on out for our draft watch party tonight. Our ESPN, our 104.5 ESPN staff will be out at Don Juan. They have cigar features, cocktail features. Are giving away a flat screen TV at the cigar shop next door, the retail shop next door, so you can come enter to win that TV. They'll have vendors on site, so it's going to be a great night. Come hang out with us. Just free-flowing. Come and go, and if you can't be there with us, make sure you watch our show tonight. We'll be live streamed on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel from the start of the draft until the last pick, so we invite you to join us. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. Pels get clobbered. We'll regrettably talk about it next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 awesome hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. If you are trying to host an event, or if you're organizing an event, remember, the Watermark or the Renaissance, awesome options either way. Watermark downtown, Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet near I-10, convenient to everything. And call Allison Crump over at the Renaissance. She always says, Matt, we're in the business of saying yes. Whatever event you're trying to host, however we have to make it work and manipulate the space that we have, we'll make it work. So if it's a fundraiser, if it's a wedding rehearsal, if it's a Greek formal event or something like that, they can help you organize that event over at the Renaissance Hotel. Right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. Always tell you, get by Tallulah there inside the Renaissance Hotel. Great way to go have a awesome dining experience. You can make reservations there at Tallulah. Walk in, have a cocktail at the bar, the indoor-outdoor flow at the terrace. Just check them out at the Renaissance Hotel.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Tough one for us. Give them credit. They took care of home court. It was a dominant win from them, so we'll get home, we'll regroup and get back after it, but definitely a tough loss.
So full disclosure, as you all know, if you were listening to the show yesterday, we did the show in Lafayette. Our friends there at Delta Media, our Lafayette affiliate, awesome people. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. They've been so hospitable. They invited me and Erica to go to the Nate Bargatze show yesterday at the Cajun Dome. So did the show in Lafayette, Taproom River Ranch, had a great time, got to meet so many listeners who came out. Like, it was packed. They opened at 3 when we started the show. It was packed at like 3:05, and it was packed all the way through. So awesome day over there. So I went to Nate Bargatze. I get out of the show, and they tell you when you go to a comedy show you can't use your phone. Like, there's signs everywhere. At Chappelle, they made you put your phone like in a bag, so they don't want people filming it and putting it on social media and all that stuff. So I get out of the Nate Bargatze show, and we go get in the car, and it's there's traffic trying to get out of the parking lot. So I'm just sitting there, pull out my phone and look at the score, and I'm like, well, guess I don't need to watch this game when I get home. Was it really as bad as the score would lead you to believe?
Actually, I'll let Graf tell you how it was.
Okay.
Jalen Williams, chest it to Holmgren. Head of steam.
How is that not an offensive foul?
It's not. Ingram is.
There's no way that can't be an offensive foul. There's no way that's not an offensive foul.
Ingram took a shoulder to the midsection. I think he got hit in the ribs.
There's no way that's not an offensive foul.
Holmgren dunked it. Ingram is still on the ground. He is writhing in pain. Willie Green needs to get ejected. Yeah. He needs to get thrown out of the game.
Well, he's in the official's face saying, that's your call. You're standing right there. Why is the guy on the floor holding his stomach after Holmgren runs through him and you don't see that call.
Meanwhile, you're looking at the OKC bench. They're literally laughing. They are laughing.
And I'm laughing now. I guess like has reality just set in for everybody now? Like it's over? I mean, you're a terrible home team all year. Well, you're not a terrible home team. You're mid.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, I like that.
Wait, who told us there? Was it Christian?
Clark.
It was Christian.
Christian Clark. You've been pretty bad recently on your home floor, though.
So you gotta win one to keep your season alive. To realistically have a chance to come back and win this series, you got to win them both on your home floor because you're not going back to OKC and winning two. So, you can win one and maybe push this thing to 5. That's probably all it'll get to. The Pelicans are. It's just unfortunate that I think everybody looked at game one. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to break down what happened last night. I just told you, I didn't see it. I was at the Nate Bargatze show. They got blown out. I don't think there was any sense in me staying up till 2 a.m. last night. Once I got home, watching this 124 to 92 beatdown. The only question now is, okay, well, you're coming back home. Can you piece it together to get a win on Sunday night? And if you do, or I should say Sunday afternoon, excuse me, it's a 2:30 game on TNT. And if you do, then can you come back on Monday and put together back-to-back really good performances and try to extend the series? It's hard to imagine that happening. It really feels like everybody said, your opportunity to get one was in game one. And so we all looked and said, well, there's two sides of that coin. It's, well, you didn't shoot it well, but you were still close, despite not shooting well, so come back and play well. Or you look at it and say, man, OKC didn't shoot it well either. You had your chance to steal one, and you didn't get it, and that opportunity got away. Well, clearly it's the latter, not the former. The opportunity got away from you. So it's what it is, man. Really disappointing. You had your opportunities throughout the season to make sure you weren't in this spot in the postseason, and the Pels just didn't make it happen. So they fall down in an 0-2 hole to OKC. Game 3 will be Sunday there at Smoothie King Center. We'll see if they can scratch one out, try to extend their season. But tough spot right now for the Pels, no doubt. All right, y'all. That's literally all I'm going to say about the Pels today. There's no sense in doing anything else with the draft ahead, and obviously a big SEC baseball weekend. So we talk to Kendall Rogers every single Thursday. We'll do that when we come back after the top of the hour. Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. We're headed toward the weekend, so if you're in the market for a vehicle, make sure Volkswagen is on your list. Let me remind you, if you're a college student, South Point Volkswagen offers you $500 off any purchase. So just to start, boom, you're in college, here's $500 off just to get started. Great opportunity right now with 1.9% APR for 60 months or a $3,000 customer bonus on selected new models. Great deals always. Check them out at southpointvw.com. You can work out your financing online. It's all there for you at the website. Search the entire inventory and then go test drive one at Airline just north of Highland. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, y'all, if you haven't checked the odds today, Jaden Daniels has moved to minus 1,000 to be the number 2 overall pick. So Jaden's going to go number 2. It's just a matter of to where does he go? Will the Vikings, will the Raiders, will someone get up to number 2, or will it be the Washington Commanders? If you're interested about the New Orleans Saints, the Saints now minus 400 to use their first pick on an offensive lineman. That's just their first pick. Doesn't necessarily say round 1. Do they move up? Do they move back? We'll wait and see how all that plays out, but rest assured, it will be an offensive lineman for the Saints at 14. All right, Kendall Rogers coming up after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Hey, look, I've told you for months now about First South Farm Credit, and it's been my pleasure to be able to introduce so many of you to a great Louisiana company that's been in business for more than 100 years, since 1916, doing one thing, helping Louisianians buy land. That's the one thing they do, and they've done it better than anyone for more than 100 years. But remember, one of the other things that First South Farm Credit does is they offer a patronage refund. Because they're a member-owned cooperative, they share in their profits annually with their borrowers. So in a very literal sense, there's no catch here. If you borrow money from First South Farm Credit, every year they're going to give you a check to share in the profits just for doing business with them. It's First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthland.com.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. When the NFL Draft kicks off tonight, the first 3 picks could be quarterbacks. The Bears expected to take Caleb Williams #1. The Commanders will pick second with LSU's Jaden Daniels and North Carolina's Drake May on the board. Daniels isn't concerned where he ends up.
Even competitors say they're the best until, that's just who I am as a competitor. Even though there's great players in there, I'm always going to bet on myself. Whatever team believes in me, is going to see me for the future.
Jaden Daniels on Get Up. Draft coverage starts at 7 Eastern here on ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern on ABC and ESPN TV. The man who shot and killed NFL player Will Smith after a car crash in 2016 will serve 25 years in jail. Cardell Hayes shot Smith 8 times. Reggie Bush has his Heisman Trophy back, but he still has a defamation lawsuit against the NCAA. Many of Bush's achievements while he played at USC were wiped from the record books by NCAA sanctions.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Friday, we'll recap every pick of the first round of the draft and get you ready for round 2. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tompley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We'll continue our SEC spring recaps. We'll knock out Mississippi State today. Our buddy Steve Robertson will be here in about 15 minutes from right now. Then after that, it's all draft for the final 90 minutes of the show. And we're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Every Thursday, Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, good enough to spend a few minutes with us, talk a little SEC and national baseball as we push off from the dock for the weekend that will be. How are you, dude?
I'm doing outstanding. How about yourself?
Well, it's the first time you and I have had a chance to talk after an SEC series win, so I'm doing considerably better than I've been doing for about a month and a half now.
Hey, who would have thought it'd be April 23rd or April 21st would be the day that LSU wins its first SEC series this year?
Literally nobody. Literally nobody.
No one.
Literally no one would have thought that. I mean, they lost 5 consecutive SEC weekends for the first time since 1977. I mean, it's almost unfathomable to think would happen.
One more than's a streak.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
One more than's a streak.
Well, let's get there. Did they find something at Missouri?
Well, I think the big thing for me is, they lost the game, but I thought they actually played really well in the series finale. Nate Ackenhausen, 2 runs, 4 innings, pretty solid. And then Griffin Herring, he was tremendous out of the bullpen, 8 strikeouts, 5 shutout innings. So, they got some clutch pitching, which is something they haven't really gotten a lot of in SEC play so far. So now you kind of turn the page, and this weekend, I don't think I'm being dramatic here. Like, this weekend is the season, because if you lose the series this weekend, you are in a position to where you have to win a series with A&M, you have to win a series with Alabama, and you have to win the Ole Miss series just to be at 12 wins going into Hoover. So this weekend is monumental for LSU.
I think that's very appropriate. So at some point you are what your record says you are. So how bad is Auburn?
Correct. They can't pitch. The one thing I will say about Auburn is I do feel like they can really hit. I think if you look at, you look Cooper McMurray in the middle of that lineup, he can really get them going. LSU is going to catch a huge break this weekend. Ike Irish, their dangerous power hitter, in the middle of that lineup, is out for the weekend with an ankle injury. That's massive because he had a terrific year offensively. He can generate home runs for them. So not having him is really big for LSU. I think, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but like that shifts my thinking a little bit to, hey, can they get 2 or 3 to, hey, if I'm LSU, I'm pumped and I feel like I can almost maybe get a sweep here, because that does change the dynamic of their offense quite a bit, like Ike Irish. But in essence, don't give Auburn free passes on the bases. Don't let them, don't let Cooper McMurray beat you with a home run. And, take advantage of a very weak pitching staff. They have not shut anybody down this year on the mound, and I don't see that changing, this weekend.
It's going to be nice for LSU to be at home, Kendall. They traveled 4 of the first 6 weekends in SEC play.
Yeah.
Jay Johnson said it doesn't even feel like he's played a home series yet. So being at home will likely give this LSU team a boost. Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, is with us. He's on Twitter at Kendall Rogers. Well, first things first for LSU is they're checking boxes, Kendall. It's how do you get out of the cellar, like out of the bottom 2 in the SEC? Well, you can take care of Auburn. That's one. The other thing is, you beat Missouri last week, but you're still looking up at them. Missouri's got to go to Tennessee this weekend. They actually play tonight in Knoxville, game 1 of that series. Does Missouri match up at all with Tennessee this weekend?
No.
Okay.
That is a negative. I would expect Tennessee to sweep that series rather convincingly.
Okay, good. That's if that were to transpire, that obviously puts LSU, and LSU wins the series this weekend as we anticipate they will. That would put LSU into the SEC tournament. As you look ahead, then LSU would play Texas A&M. Do you still see a path whereby LSU hits that 13-win mark in the league, which I think you and I have talked in the past? That's that's kind of that low water mark where you say, like, if you want to be in a regional, you got to get to at least 13 in conference play. Do you think that's attainable?
With Hoover, I mean, right now they'd have to win their last 4 series of the year to get to 13 wins. That's assuming they don't sweep any of those series. So that's a pretty difficult task when you look at the schedule ahead.
Yeah.
But, if you sweep somebody, that can kind of change the math a little bit. So the math for LSU is very easy right now. Get to 13 wins. If you can get to 13 wins, I think you're fine. But again, just getting there is going to be the difficult part.
The heavy lifting, A&M notwithstanding, the heavy lifting for LSU has been done. There are opportunities ahead. Let me ask you about A&M. That's a ranked matchup this weekend as they host Georgia. A&M has just been a machine. What I want a thought on this weekend with Georgia going to College Station, Kendall. But what has gone so right for A&M this year that maybe we didn't anticipate at the start of this season?
Well, I think the biggest thing for them is their pitching staff is much improved. I mean, Ryan Prager, of course, he didn't pitch last year, so it's kind of hard to say, they didn't do a very good job with Prager last year because he didn't even pitch. But, he came back this year and he's been one of the better Friday night starters in the SEC. Tanner Jones, the Jack State transfers, done a really nice job for them on Saturday. And the biggest thing for them is kind of the evolution of Chris Cortez out of the bullpen. I think we all kind of saw him the last couple of years, touching 99 to 100 on the radar gun. But you never knew where the ball was going to go. He's been really good. Evan Ashenbeck's been really good. And again, I think if you look at the same offensive lineup, when they lost that series of Florida and Gainesville earlier this year, it was basically 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes the 5th guy in the order, and you were kind of done with. Now, I mean, if you look at the A&M lineup, it's Jackson Appel after Brady Montgomery, Jace Lavalette. If you look at the bottom of the lineup and Cade Sorrell, their left fielder has done a really nice job for them, and they've actually gotten a nice little offensive infusion from Travis Chestnut in the 9 hole. So whereas their lineup earlier this year, I felt like, if you got past the 5th guy, you're like, ooh, I'm good now. Now I don't feel like the drop-off is that significant. And when you got those guys at the top, just trying to get through Grahovic and Montgomery and Lavalette tough enough, and then you have to deal with the rest of those guys. They're just pretty relentless, man. It's almost like you have to score 8 or 9 runs just to beat them in a game. And I'm not so sure Georgia can just stay with them mano a mano this weekend, even with Charlie Condon.
The other big series is Kentucky at South Carolina. Kentucky lost the series for the first time last weekend. They've been incredible, Kendall. I mean, what they were able to do in the first half of conference play. Is this a little bit of a regression to the mean, or was last week just a speed bump against a really good team?
I think it was a speed bump, man. I watched a couple of games, and that was a battle. I mean, those two teams are very evenly matched, and Nick Mangio's done a really nice job. I know they ran in that buzzsaw on LSU last year in the Super.
Yeah.
But getting to Super and a year later after losing some guys and just kind of continuing where they left off, it's not improved. That's ultra impressive, especially for a program like Kentucky. So the biggest thing about UK, man, is like you don't look at their lineup, you don't look at their pitching staff and go, wow, that guy's incredible. But what it is that the averages for them are really good. Like the top to bottom of the lineup, very solid. Pitching staff, not flashy, but again, just very solid. So I think they're a pretty good team. Do they have the flash of Tennessee and maybe A&M? No. But are they really good? Absolutely.
He is Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball.com. Make sure you're subscribed up. Follow him on Twitter at Kendall Rogers. Last thing, outside of the SEC, we tend to be SEC centric, obviously. What's the biggest storyline in college baseball this weekend around the country?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the ACC with Florida State and Duke squaring off this weekend. And then the Big 12, really interesting situation with Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma looking more and more like a potential top 16 host. Texas is a really weird team. They got an RPI in the 70s, but they're tied for 3rd in the Big 12. So that'll be a very interesting series if Texas loses that. I think their conference standing is going to start hurting them in terms of the postseason. And if they don't make the postseason, I think they will be entering the coaching carousel.
He is Kendall Rogers, D1Baseball.com. Make sure you go subscribe up on the website. Kendall, we appreciate it as always, man. Thanks for the time.
You got it, brother. Be good, man.
All right, man. Be well. It is after further review. Let's knock out a quick break. I do want to continue our SEC spring recaps. We're headed to Starkville, check in with our guy Steve Robertson when we come back. Obviously, it is draft night. There's a ton going on with the draft. Jaden Daniels was on Get Up earlier today. He was asked point blank if Jaden Daniels was on Get Up earlier today. He was asked point blank if he's had assurance from the Commanders that he was going to be number 2 overall. Here's what Jaden said.
Nah, I ain't got any assurance. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to hear my name called by who, so we shall see.
The one thing that seems certain is Jaden is going to be the second pick. I mean, he is minus 1,000 to be the second pick. And as Jimmy tells us all the time, these odds are based on information. It's not based on projections of what might happen in a game. It's based on information. So who has the best information? Well, right now the best information says that Jaden Daniels is going to go number 2. It's just a matter of to whom. We'll talk about that more next hour. All right, quick break. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've told you for months now about Glow Resources, and if you're a business owner and you've had trouble hiring or retaining good employees, one thing that you commonly hear is, well, my employees aren't showing up. And there could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be their car broke down, or maybe they're anticipating the birth of a child, or maybe a jury duty, or there's a court date or something like that. Well, one of the reasons Glow Resources is so successful, even in your business, if you interview a lot of people, 5, a dozen, 50 people a year, Glow Resources interviews 50 people a day. Over the course of a year, Glow Resources will interview 15,000 prospective job candidates. So they see everything. So they know the questions to ask about reliable transportation or upcoming appointments, physical requirements, skill requirements to meet the capabilities of your job. The point is, there's a reason their employees have a 93% retention rate. If you need help hiring, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona.
The SEC Spring Recap on After Further Review. The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Well, a year ago, it was impossible circumstances for Mississippi State replacing Mike Leach after his sudden, untimely, tragic passing. And here a year later, it's another turnover for Mississippi State. The Zach Arnett era was short-lived, one unsuccessful year, and now Jeff Lebby, who's an offensive mind that has tremendous respect throughout this league, is the new guy there in Starkville. So let's find out how that first spring went. Steve Robertson, our buddy from Gene's Page, good enough to join us now. He's on Twitter at ScoutSteveR if you want to give him a follow. Steve, we appreciate it, man. How are you, bud?
Man, I'm doing great. Getting ready to head to Nashville tomorrow to cover a little baseball, but spring football is behind us, and so things are calming down a little bit. But it's been a busy stretch.
Let me start. I know you and I talked a lot after Mike Leach's passing about just the impact, the profound impact that had on the team, the community, everything. This is a decidedly different change with an unsuccessful year from Zach Arnett being relieved, and now bring in Jeff Lebby, which feels outside looking in like a really good hire. How was the first spring received there, Steve?
Yeah, it was real positive. And what this football program needs is a year of normalcy, right? I mean, it's like even entering 2022, a lot of people thought Leach was coaching for his job and had to win the Egg Bowl to stay. Well, then you win the Egg Bowl, and then you get a chance to go down and play in the Outback Bowl again. And, so, hey, things are trending up. And then Mike passes away. And then they made the only decision I think they could have made at the time, which is to promote from within and elevate Zach Arnett. But last year, the entire year, the energy in the building was just really tight. I think a lot of people understood it's a real questionable hire. And Zach Arnett, I think, is a very capable coach, but he was probably promoted before he was ready under some difficult circumstances. And people acted and played tight throughout the year. And, of course, electing to scrap the air raid in favor of whatever else we did last year was just, just a disaster of epic proportions. And Lebby's come in, and I had some guys that know him well when he was first mentioned as a finalist, and he is exactly what these kids need. He's a really young, innovative, exciting coach, but he is a player's guy, but also holds them accountable. And I think you saw that this spring. There was a different energy in the building and just around the program, and guys are really excited about the offense. And, it's going to be a challenging year, but, we think that this could be a minor bowl team when it's all said and done, and they're going to have to outscore some people. And I think Lebby's capable of doing that.
Will the offense look more like Mike Leach's air raid, or how does it? I guess it's gonna look closer to that than what it was a year ago, but how much closer?
Well, you're going to run some air raid concepts. I mean, in many respects, Art Browse comes from the Mike Leach tree, but it's a more modern version of the air raid where you've got more of a running component to it. And they're out right now working the NCAA transfer portal, trying to upgrade the running back position. But yeah, they're going to run it a little bit more, and they're going to get in some leverage situations where they do run the football a lot more. And Mike was a guy, 3rd and 1 was still going to throw it. And I think Leb's approach is a little more in line with maybe what Cliff Kingsbury ran, with the Cardinals, where you kind of take what they give you, but you're not just married to one thing. And obviously with Blake Shapen coming in, he's a lot more dynamic and mobile than, say, Will Rogers was. So when things break down, he's a guy that can extend plays. And I think you kind of saw that in the spring game. I mean, Blake was really, really good. And it wasn't just a bunch of checkdowns. I mean, they were throwing the ball down the field. And I think that's what excites fans the most, these chunk plays. And those weren't always evident when you had the air raid.
Steve Robertson's with us on Twitter at ScoutSteveR. If you want to give him a follow, genespage.com, talking Mississippi State. You mentioned Blake Shapen coming in, obviously the Baylor transfer. Let me come back to Blake in a second because I do want to get a thought on Will Rogers. How big of a surprise, the reaction just to have a guy that was on target to set every meaningful career SEC passing record leave the program and transfer out?
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise in many respects, but, behind the scenes, we kind of heard that Will was going to move on this year. There was some talk that he may go to Western Kentucky, when some of the air raid assistants went up there. and then his brother was at Southern Miss. And so about middle of the year last year, we started hearing that he probably would transfer out. And he is really kind of built for the air raid. I mean, he's a quick decision maker. He's got a good arm, not a great arm, but he is a guy that's a really good field general. And, he's engineered two of the biggest comebacks in school history. I mean, he's a guy that understands that scheme, and he needs to be in that scheme. I think that's one of the things that last year kind of taught us. But yeah, I mean, if you had him back, you'd feel like, okay, well, there's some things that he's somewhat limited in, but some things that he's really good at. But yeah, I think he'll do a good job at Washington, and then we'll wish him the best, and he'll be able to come to Davis Wade Stadium 10 years from now and get a standing ovation. But people wish him the best, but I think people also understood why he left.
Yeah. So it is Blake Shapen. Let's walk a little bit through who is Blake Shapen and how he looks and functions in this offense.
Well, he was a starter at Baylor last year, and he got injured twice. He had it was a knee injury that sidelined him for a few games, and he had a concussion late, and he was putting up some big numbers there. And they ended up having to go with former Mississippi State quarterback Sawyer Robertson, who's a guy that probably fits what they want to do there. But Blake is a guy too. I had a chance to interview him shortly after he committed, and he was super excited about the opportunity to be with Levy because they kind of see offense the same way. And that's so important, to have a quarterback and an offensive play caller that kind of see the game the same way. And you really saw that evidence of that in the spring game. I mean, just kind of dialing up shot after shot after shot, and you get mismatches, and you want to create some opportunities for yourself where, you've got an advantage. And I think Shapen's a guy, too, that I think he feels like he's got a little something to prove. Things maybe didn't go the way he wanted to last year. With the injuries, I think he just needed a reset and kind of get started. And I know Baylor and Dave Aranda and those guys are probably thinking more about the future. And so kind of like in the Will Rogers thing, you don't blame the guy for leaving. You kind of understand why he did. But I think, we need a bridge guy here at Mississippi State. You need a guy that can run the offense at its full proficiency, while you get a guy like Chris Parson or Michael Van Buren ready to take over next year. So I think in that respect, it's a good situation for all sides.
And when you look at weapons, Xavion Thomas would have been the leading returning receiver, but he's now obviously at LSU. So who is there a name who maybe emerged in spring as the guy that everyone's anticipating being the go-to, the standout offensive weapon?
Well, they basically rebuilt this wide receiver room, and it was a group really in need of an influx of talent. You got Kelly Akari, who was extremely productive at UTEP, and he has been kind of the guy this spring that everybody's kind of raved about. And then Kevin Coleman transfers in from Louisville. Both of those guys had really good spring games, and their guys a little more fleet of foot than some of the guys that State had last year. I mean, you had some guys in the air raid that were really smart receivers that could read coverages and kind of find holes in coverage against that drop eight. But you got some guys that are burners now. I don't know that State really had that. I mean, Justin Robinson was a guy that transferred in a couple of years ago. We expected big things from him, and he just wasn't very fleet of foot. He's a big body X-type receiver, but he just couldn't make plays outside the numbers in the scheme, so he's elected to move on. But I think Akari and Coleman are going to be names that people are going to want to remember, not to mention, you go out and get J.J. Harrell, and you get Stonka Burnside and Mario Craver. Those are three young guys people are really excited about, but they'll play behind those veteran guys that transferred in.
Steve, what about the defensive side of the ball? Is there a gigantic need still over there in the spring portal window?
Eager to see, they'd like to find an edge, and the pickings have been rather slim in the portal. There's a lot of guys out there that are edges, but maybe you're not SEC guys, and I think you'd rather have a hole than just have somebody out there that's going to be a detriment, But I think this secondary probably needs another corner. I think they'd love to get one more corner. I think the safeties, if you had Brywell Lanier transfer in from East Mississippi after being a four-star kid at Alabama, he has really stepped up. And I think kind of given them some security of thinking, okay, we've got some guys here on the back end that might be able to make some plays for us. And they've already added one corner here as of late, Diego Brumfield from Memphis, of course, that played for Matt Barnes last year at Memphis. But I think one more corner, and, of course, you'd love to find an edge. And, they're not going to turn away good players, but I think the secondary is probably the biggest question mark on this defense right now.
He is Steve Robertson. Hey, before you go, look, obviously, hope springs eternal for everybody coming out of spring. And we can look at Vegas odds and all. Is there, and we'll talk about this more in the fall when rosters are complete, but Is there like a realistic expectation for Jeff Lebby in year one? Like, is it a bowl? Is it they get to a bowl game? Is it a conference record? What is that realistic expectation year one?
Well, I really think the ceiling for this team, based on what we know right now, is probably 7-5. I think getting to a bowl game in year one, considering all the transition, and this is a roster that's going to have basically 50% infusion of new players, whether they be from the high school ranks or junior college or the transfer portal. So he's flipped this roster, and with all that change and changing things defensively, schematically, if he can get to a bowl game this year, I think people around here will be absolutely overjoyed.
24 outgoing transfers for Mississippi State there and Jeff Lebby in year one. I mean, that's going to happen in the portal era. That's going to happen every time there's a coaching change everywhere. So it's always going to be interesting to follow where the programs that are going through a coaching change there in year one. Steve Robertson, of course, genespage.com. He's on Twitter at ScoutSteveR. Y'all give him a follow, our Mississippi State spring recap. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you, man.
See you, bud.
All right, be well. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. That's Michelli. Not as some of my friends at Delta Media like to say, Miss Shelley, like a woman's name. No, not that. It's Michelli, Michelli. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Look, one of the great things about Michelli, we always say, they'll if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, and rent the products used to weigh and measure. They even have an on-site option. So sometimes, at your facility, you have equipment that can't leave or that you don't want to leave. Surface plates, welding machines, pressure and temperature gauges. Well, if you need, of course, you need those and that equipment calibrated, Michelli can come to you and do it on site. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. 76 years in business, more than 30 locations across 11 different states, 6 in Louisiana alone. Say it all the time. You weigh or measure something across dozens of different industries. You need Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. We are 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 55 seconds away from the start of the NFL Draft. Our staff will be over at Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center for our draft watch party. It's been our home. It's where T-Bob and I hang out for whiskey and wine after LSU games, and they've had us there for the draft party the last handful of years. It's so much fun to get on by, so we'll invite you to come on there. Someone's going to win a flat screen TV. So they have reps on site for both liquor brands and cigar brands, so it's going to be a really, really fun night. So hopefully you'll come out, hang out, have a cocktail, have a cigar, hang out with all of us. It's a very casual night. We'll have a live stream going the entirety of the draft from the first pick through the last. And, we all kind of rotate turns on the headset. So we're hanging out. We're on camera, on mic. So it's very casual, very fun. If you're looking for something to do tonight, come hang out with us at Don Juan. If you can't be at Don Juan, join us on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. And if you're there right now, do us a favor. Please subscribe up to the channel and smash that like button. We always appreciate you. Okay. We are going to get into plenty more draft talk. Like the whole third hour is nothing but draft. But I'm so interested in some of these scenarios that could unfold here at the top of the draft that could shape the draft. Like there's some people that believe you could see as many as 10 trades. You could see as many as 10 offensive linemen go in round one. A third of the round one picks could be offensive linemen, which would be record setting, by the way. If they hit 11 offensive linemen in round one, they'd set a record for the most offensive linemen taken in round one. And you may actually see that tonight. So it's a good year for the Saints to be in the mix for an offensive lineman. We'll all be keeping an eye on which one they get. And, of course, whoever that is will be protecting Derek Carr, who did meet with reporters out of the Zurich Classic yesterday. So some thoughts on not only who and what the Saints are targeting here in round one throughout this draft, but you'll hear from the Saints quarterback when we return on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know where to find them. GetGordon.com. GetGordon.com. Proud to announce the newest member of the G team, Dominic McKinley, Tiger defensive lineman, 5-star from Acadiana, has joined up on the G team, and we're going to be lucky enough to have Dominic McKinley in studio with us soon, so we look forward to that. Also, Anissa Morrow, member of the Tigers women's basketball team, just did a sit-down with Gordon as part of the G team, so if you want to go check out that interview, it's up on social media at all the different platforms. Point is, Gordon's done a great job engaging in NIL with so many athletes, both male and female, across different sports and different universities, and giving them great opportunities and exposure. We're proud to tell those stories as well here. And if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 30 years. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Counting down to the NFL draft. Looking forward to it tonight. Well, on the hang on, this freaking wire's messed up. There we go. Got it out of the way. On the eve of the NFL draft, Saints quarterback Derek Carr was at the Zurich Classic Pro-Am and had some media availability. Now, as of this moment right now, the Saints are minus 400 at various sports books to take an offensive lineman with their first pick. That means, if you don't bet, that means you'd have to bet $400 to win $100. So it is overwhelmingly likely that the Saints are going to draft an offensive lineman. We all know it. With all the issues you already had, and then you throw James Hurst's retirement on top of that, yes, we all are assuming that the Saints are going to draft an offensive lineman, and that was something Derek Carr was obviously going to be asked about when he met with reporters.
I know that whoever's about to show up, they just got to be ready to work. Our team right now is in such a good place in our work ethic and what we're doing. I mean, they're getting after us right now. We're trying to take it right back at our strength staff. So whoever we get, as long as they're ready to work, I think it's going to fit perfect. Because Mickey, those guys, they've been very successful at doing this for so long. So we're excited whoever we get. But anytime you add big guys, it's never a bad thing to a quarterback.
You add big guys, it's never a bad thing for a quarterback, and I get that. And the other thing he said there is, Mickey and the guys have been doing this for so long. Yes. But whenever, I think here's the fair thing to ask. And I'll tell you, I think when it comes to the Saints draft, in any team, I would say there is a sliding scale. Like, the more information you have, the more your opinion can change. And that can be true with any player or team or anything, right? Like, if a player has immense success, then yes, you obviously want to pay them and keep them as part of your roster. Well, as they start to decline, well, you can't just default to what it was like 5 years ago when they had immense success. You have to look at the current situation, what they are now in this moment. And, for a long time, the Saints went through this period where they were atrocious in the draft. I mean, you look back at like 2012, they didn't have a 1 or a 2. Then they went Akeem Hicks, Nick Toon, Corey White, Andrew Tiller, Marcel Jones. It's basically not having a draft class. Then you came back the next year and you went Kenny Vaccaro, Teron Armstead, John Jenkins, Kenny Stills, and Rufus Johnson. You only drafted 5 players. Armstead was obviously a home run hire there. Vaccaro, you ended up not re-signing. John Jenkins never amounted to much in the NFL. Kenny Stills, you traded because he was a locker room problem. And Rufus Johnson didn't make the team. 2014 was a disaster. You had Brandon Cooks at the top, but then you went Stanley Jean-Baptiste, Kyrie Fort, Vinny Sinceri, Ronald Powell, Tavon Brooks. And then maybe the worst ever was 2015, where you took Andrus Pete and Stephon Anthony, both in the first round. And then you went Kikaha, Garrett Grayson, P.J. Williams, Davis Tull, Tyler Davison, Damian Swan, Marcus Murphy. Like, you whiffed. You were terrible. And so this organization didn't deserve the benefit of the doubt in the draft. Well, then they bring in Jeff Ireland, and they have the 2017 draft. And then after 2017, all of our, and by the way, 16 was really successful as well. Sheldon Rankins, Michael Thomas, Von Bell, David Onyemata, Daniel Lasco. And Lasco, as a 7th-round pick, made the team because he was a really good special teamer. They drafted 5 players, and they all made the team and became contributors. Then they followed it up with Lattimore, Ramchick, Williams, Kamara, Anzalone, Hendrickson, and Al-Qadim Muhammad. Back-to-back years where it was just hit. And so your mindset and approach changes because they've earned now the benefit of the doubt. So when the Saints, in 2018, they made a very controversial decision when they traded up to get Marcus Davenport. My take then was, hey, look, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. If this scouting department believes in that guy, I'm okay. Go up and get him. And they did. Now, look, it didn't work out, and that 2018 draft class was atrocious. It was Davenport and Traquan and Rick Leonard and Natrell Jameson, Cameron Moore, Boston Scott. Will Clapp was the 7th rounder. Now, Scott and Clapp both remain in the NFL, but Boston Scott ended up not he ended up making the team with the Eagles, and then Clapp as a free agent ended up leaving. But then you've gone into this period where you've struggled in the draft, and this ebb has flowed, or the flow has ebbed again, and it's fair to say they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt at this point because this organization now has proven over the last 3 seasons that they've had too many misses in the draft to just blanketly and patently rubber stamp their decision-making as good. I mean, Peyton Turner was a whiff. Pete Werner and Paulson Adebo were good picks, but Ian Book, Landon Young, Quan Baker. Chris Olave's a hit, but Trevor Penning's a bust. Alante Taylor's been a contributor for you, but DeMarco Jackson and Jordan Jackson, 2 misses. And the jury's still out on last year, but Brzee played a lot for you. Isaiah Foskey was a healthy scratch for much of the season. Kendre Miller was injured for much of the season. Nick Saldiveri gave you nothing. Jake Haener was suspended for PEDs. I don't know that anybody expects anything. Jordan Howden might be the hit. And A.T. Perry made the team and could end up being a really good contributor as well, but time will tell. So all my point is, when Derek Carr says, look, they've been doing this a long time, they're going to get a guy they want. Yeah, but you're right to go into this draft with a little reservation and hesitation about what the Saints might do and the player they might pick. But one thing's for certain also is that it is going to be a new offense. The Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael era is over. So we all kind of have to recalibrate what we think about a Saints offense. And Derek Carr said, like, that's kind of energized him with a new offense.
You know, it's been a lot of fun. Like this, I've learned a lot of different systems, a lot of different verbiage. A lot of the verbiage here is very similar to what I remember with, Coach Gruden and other areas. And so learning the words and learning that kind of stuff hasn't been too hard. Protection-wise, too, I've done the same kind of stuff that they've done. So for me, I have a lot of, obviously, experience to rely on.
When I look at Carr, I look at, when I was thinking about that, I was like, how has he done with new systems in the first year? So, like, his rookie year, started all 16 games. They were 3-13. They were not very good. As you would anticipate when you're starting a rookie quarterback, it usually doesn't go very well. Well, he had 21 touchdowns, 12 picks, threw for 3,200 yards. It wasn't a terrible year. It was a terrible season overall, but it's kind of what you'd expect, right? John Gruden came in 2018. So, again, first year, new coach, and that was when Derek Carr had a career year. In 2018, he threw for 4,000 yards for the first time. He threw, it was 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, which obviously that ratio isn't great, but that was a Raider team that went 4-12. That wasn't fantastic, but Carr for the first time threw for 4,000 yards, and his completion percentage was almost 69%, which at that point was by far and away a career best. So he personally, individually, did really well that first year. And then you could look at his first year, in New Orleans last year, and it didn't go the way that we all thought or hoped. So there's been a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, he had 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, which that ratio is good, but we also understand, like, a lot of that was padded late in the season against some bad teams. We've seen this wild swing with Derek Carr in the first year of a system. As you heard him say, like, I've had a lot of new systems to learn, and this will be the fourth already. So, I think it is going to be interesting to see which Derek Carr do we get. Do we see the guy that was super efficient and threw for 4,000 yards in the first year under John Gruden? Or does it look more like the guy we saw last year in New Orleans? And that's one thing that's certainly going to be interesting. But he also gave his impressions of the new offensive staff.
I've loved Andrew. I've loved Clint. Obviously, I've known Dub since I was very young. And I just love that whole group, the O-line coaches. Obviously, we know Clancy, Derek, the running back coach. You get around them, you feel their energy. You feel their excitement for the players we have. And then you feel our excitement for what they can bring also. And so I can't wait to get, in-depth meetings and that kind of stuff with them, because their demeanor, the way they carry themselves, fully confident, just, hey, we're about the process. Like in this game and in any profession, it's all about the process. And hopefully your process is good and you end up with good results.
Look, I mean, I've obviously not been the most optimistic about the Saints, about Derek Carr, about Dennis Allen. You all understand that. But the one thing that I have said consistently this offseason is the smartest thing that Dennis Allen did was hire Clint Kubiak. And I don't know if it's going to work, but bringing in a new voice, a new system, and DA being a defensive-minded head coach, essentially saying, hey, go be the head coach of the offense. It does feel like new energy and a new head coach of the offense. So in some respects, you do approach this offseason like that. They got giant questions, like they need to answer one of them tonight on the offensive line with the 14th pick. And yes, you're going to have to add other talent. Hopefully you get a receiver in this draft and other things that we hope fall their way. But if you want a reason for optimism as a Saints fan, it's that. So offensively, this is in many ways a new beginning. And we have seen Derek Carr both have success and struggle in a new system. But what they do in this draft over the next 3 days, I think, goes a long way to determining how much success will have, because they got to put talent around him. They are financially committed to Derek Carr for at least 2 more years. So you better give him the tools he needs to succeed. That starts tonight. All right, it's after further review. Quick break. We'll come back. Muse will have Tigers and the pros. When we, at the top of the hour in about 15 minutes, we got a ton to delve into. Brian Kelly was on Good Morning Football. Jaden Daniels was on Get Up, talking a lot about the LSU guys they head into the draft. We've got tons of Saints conversation as well, with a lot of movement that could well happen around New Orleans. That's going to dictate what player is there for them at 14. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Our friends over at Action Industries have been serving the petrochemical and refinery markets in Baton Rouge since 1982. ActionIndinc.com. Action Industries Incorporated. ActionIndinc.com. proud partner of LSU Athletics, so they love to support the home team as well. Hey, listen, when it comes to Action Industries, yes, they do amazing contractor work at the petrochemical plants and the refineries. Their safety record beats the industry standard, and they do exceptional work, which is why, look, I would always recommend ask them for references or to see letters and commendations from past clients. It's how they've gotten hired over and over again. But at Action Industries, they also offer fabrication shop services, and they're ASME certified vessel manufacturers. They have all 3 ASME stamps. They've got the R, the S, and the U stamps. They've got them all over at Action Industries. So you're doing business with the best. They're going to treat you great, and they're a great local company. It's Action Industries. Action Industries.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
It was great. It was really just to get around the players. Obviously, they're going to give the real take of me and how, get an idea of how I'm going to be every day. Just getting around the guys, see if I fit in, and if, that's the place that, I can lead those guys.
Caleb Williams, minus 20,000 to be.
So you're telling me there's a chance
to be the number 1 overall pick. I think Caleb's already changed his mailing address.
Probably, yeah.
Like he's got an Illinois driver's license now.
Has the first check cleared? I mean,
Caleb Williams is going to the Bears. That much we know. The draft will start after Caleb Williams is picked, and we're all assuming it'll be Jaden Daniels at 2. And if that's the case, That's when the real fun will begin. We'll get to all of that coming up in hour 3. Nothing but NFL draft talk for the final hour of the show. Right now, though, Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Any value there?
No, not even a little. All right, so this news broke yesterday as we were heading into the last segment of the show.
How about that?
That'd have been nice an hour earlier, but oh well. Naz Reid, your NBA sixth man of the year.
Well, Muse, we all know he should have stayed.
We all know
because
he should have stayed.
Had he stayed, he wouldn't have been sixth man of the year. He'd be starting instead of coming off the bench. All right, let's call it what it is.
He would have got a lot more development, and he would have been drafted. All those things, yeah.
And I don't even care if people get the point by now. I'm still going to do it.
Of course.
That's never ending. I'm going to jab you all in the eye with that. For you'll know who you are. Look, I can go out you on Twitter. I have done a Twitter search of my name with Naz Reid. How many of you crushed me and just pooped all over Naz? You're there. It's there on Twitter.
Lives forever.
We can go old takes exposed on you.
We could. Yeah, we do that whole thing, the should have stayed, but it really is awesome. It's the next step in a great journey. Undrafted out of LSU, spent his entire rookie season in the G League, or I should say his first year of professional basketball in the G League, then made it up with the Timberwolves. And this year, career highs in points, 13.5 per game, and rebounds. He played 81 of 82 games this year as well, so great durability. A huge congratulations to Naz Reid. Awesome. It is very awesome, very, very well-deserved, and we'll have more from him because they're in the playoffs. Josh Smith today. Yeah, man. We've been telling you about the great start to the season. How about home run number 1 on the season for Smith this year? Took a high fastball, pull side to right field. Cut his hair, too. Look. Much shorter flow for Smith out the back of the helmet. Still got flow. But, last year it was, to the shoulders just about. Part of a 2-hit day for him. He also had a double, his 6th of the season. Scored a run, drove in one. He's just been awesome. Played shortstop today. Too. Yeah, man. Hey, got the mojo back for him there, right?
You know where he wore number 8, don't you?
I do know where he wore number 8. He wore number 8 at Catholic High School.
At where?
At Catholic High School.
Oh, Catholic High!
There you go. Look, man, it's your shtick. I'm not gonna do that.
Put some respect on that name.
Jamar Chase will be in Cincinnati another year. The Bengals exercised the 5th-year team option.
No kidding.
Yeah, fun move, right? Smart move. So Chase is now signed through 2025. 3,717 yards and 29 touchdowns so far in 3 seasons for Jamar Chase. It's pretty good. We have breaking news from AAA baseball.
Let's go.
Paul Skeens gave up runs.
Oh.
But only one of them was earned, so it really doesn't matter. His ERA, 0.53.
Yeah, so they should extend his stay in AAA. Clearly, he's not ready.
He's just not ready. Struck out 7 in 4 1/3. Threw 100 miles per hour a bunch of times. Put him in the bullpen. Just let him get outs for your big league team. That's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, WilliamsonEye.com. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you, next Friday, if you've been thinking about LASIK or any type of refractive procedure, next Friday, the Williamson Eye Center is having an open house at their location there on Bluebonnet. Get on by. They'll have breakfast from 7:30 to 9:30. They'll have lunch from 11 to 1. You can pop in. They are asking that you RSVP so they'll know how much to prepare for, right? You can go to the website, WilliamsonEye.com. It's free. It's just pop in, talk to Dr. Blake, some of the staff, get some information. It's the Vision Correction Open House event at the Williamson Eye Center next Friday, May the 3rd, at their Suma location. You can go to WilliamsonEye.com or any of their social media, WilliamsonEye.com. Okay, y'all. Hour number 3, talking nothing but draft when we come back right after SportsCenter. Stick around.
AFR.
All right, as we put a button here on hour number 2, I want to remind you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows. Not only do it all, they do it better than anyone else. That's why I love telling you every day about Relief Windows, because you can buy windows anywhere. A lot of people will sell you a window. But how many people will offer you a lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage? Nobody else. Certainly not on labor. Someone's got to come out, they're going to charge you for the labor cost. Not Relief Windows. Because they believe in giving you an exceptional customer service experience. Brandon Holly tells me from time to time, we want to please everybody, but sometimes when people complain, I get excited because that's when we get to show who we are. That's the mentality of everyone who wears that logo. It's Relief Windows. Check them out online at reliefwindows.com. That's reliefwindows.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The first round of the NFL Draft is now just 2 hours away in Detroit. There are plenty of unknowns, but not with the number 1 pick. The Bears are expected to take USC quarterback Caleb Williams. His coach, Lincoln Riley, talks about the difficulties of playing the most visible position in the sport.
It gets the most attention, whether success or failure or anything in between. It's kind of the lightning rod in football. And so if you don't have that inner belief and self-confidence, you're going to have a hard time playing this position well, especially at the higher levels. And so Caleb's always had that.
Lincoln Riley, live draft coverage starts on ESPN TV and radio at 7 Eastern, on ABC TV at 8 Eastern. The Commanders will retire number 28 for cornerback Darrell Green. He'll be the 5th player to have his Washington jersey retired. No one has worn his number since Green retired more than 20 years ago. He was inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2008.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, and RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Used to. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. 1 hour, 58 minutes on the dot from the start of the NFL draft. We'll be over at Don Juan Cigar Bar. We invite you to come by and join us. If you can't be at Don Juan for our draft watch party, follow along with us on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Our staff will be there. We're looking forward to it. Of course, everybody knows Caleb Williams is going to go number 1 overall. But as Louis Riddick said on SportsCenter earlier today, what Washington does is actually when the draft begins.
Quite honestly, I believe it takes a turn right at number 2 as soon as Chicago is off the clock. I think right there is where the intrigue for me starts. And look, I heard what Kimberly Martin said about Adam Peter and say, look, we've decided on who we're going to take. I'm interested to hear who that's going to be. And really, after they make that pick, I'm even still interested to hear about the process by which they arrived at whoever it is that they take. Because to me, my instinct tells me there isn't this 100% consensus about it being Jaden Daniels, although I have said that would be number 1 for me. But I think that's where it starts. And then obviously, as Adam alluded to, at number 3, it gets even more interesting because there's this draft really is, I don't want to say top heavy, but it is deep, man. It is deep with players who play premium impact positions that are all going to have tremendous careers. So really at 2, from there, buckle in, man.
Jaden Daniels is minus 1,000 to be the 2nd overall pick. So we know it's going to be Jaden at 2. It's just a matter of who takes Jaden Daniels at 2. And this is going to be a really fun coronation of sorts. Look, we saw Jamarcus go number 1. We saw Joe Burrow go number 1. Jaden's going to miss that by a hair of joining that, elite company in rarefied air. Of course, Dr. Billy Cannon, a half a century, 60 years ago. I think this is going to be it's going to be another notch in the belt, just another trophy on the case in Jaden Daniels' amazing career that, quite honestly, it feels a lot different now than when it did 5 years ago when Joe Burrow went number 1 overall after having won the Heisman. Now, a big part of that, obviously, is that team won the national championship, and I get that. That's always going to be one of the major points of differentiation. But I think, even this week, going through a lot of Jaden's stats and reliving some of his season, it's reminded me just how incredibly special he was. Do you realize that Jaden Daniels set an FBS record for yards per attempt? He averaged more than 11 yards an attempt every time he threw the ball. Not completed it, every time he threw the ball. He led college football in yards per carry. Not among quarterbacks, among all players. He had a season unlike we've literally ever seen. We were so lucky to have been able to see it. Wish he had a defense, and that's always going to be the caveat people talk about forever when they talk about Jaden Daniels and this year and his time at LSU. But even Nick Saban said it. I mean, Nick Saban today on SportsCenter is now working for ESPN. He's on the set, as I'm looking at ESPN, he's on the set right now with the game day crew. Even Nick Saban was singing Jaden's praises today.
Great quarterback. He's a good passer, but
he's got Randall Cunningham type ability to run the ball. And you get some of these oh-no moments with this guy. I mean, he throws it good, deep, but when he steps up in the pocket and he gets ready to take off running, you really have problems. So, it's like, oh, we got him. No, we don't. But this guy is a phenomenal player, the most difficult player we had to defend in the last 2 years at Alabama.
The most difficult player we had to defend the last 2 years at Alabama. I mean, quite simply, LSU, of course, beat Alabama in Baton Rouge in 2022, and I don't know that LSU had the rally in them in Tuscaloosa this past year because I don't think LSU was going to get a stop, but they were certainly going to make it a game had Jaden Daniels been able to play the final quarter of that football game and most of the second half of that game after the Dallas Turner hit. Speaking of the hit, that's one of the things that of the criticisms or critiques or questions maybe about Jaden Daniels is as a lean, slender guy, and a guy who we saw this year did not like to go down. He did not like to slide. One of the criticisms is he takes too many hits, and is he going to be durable? Well, a big part of that is, like, where do you go? Do you go to a franchise that has a solid offensive line, or are you going to a place like Joe Burrow did when he went to Cincinnati? They was standing behind a sieve, and he got sacked a record number of times. Or like when David Carr went to the Houston Texans back in 2002 and set a record as a rookie for the number of times sacked. I mean, that can happen, and that can wreck a young player. So part of that has to do with where you go. But here was Brian Kelly talking about Jaden Daniels and that criticism of him taking too many hits.
I think if that's the only thing that we're worried about, I think that's a good thing. If we're talking about he has a tendency of forcing the football, or we don't like his pocket presence, or his accuracy is off, then maybe you have some red flags. But if you're saying, he's at times he's got to learn how to slide, I'll take that.
There was Brian Kelly on Good Morning Football earlier today, and he's right. Like, you can teach him. You can teach a player to slide. Look, Joe Burrow had a lot of that in him as well, right? Joe Burrow isn't a guy that likes to slide. He likes to take on contact. It's the tough guy. It's just the attitude that you emanate when you're playing that position, and Jaden has a lot of that as well. Speaking of Jaden Daniels earlier today was a guest on Get Up on ESPN, and he said point blank, when they asked point blank, had he been given any assurances from Washington that he was going to be the number 2 pick, he said no, that he had not been given any of those assurances. However, they did follow up on that now infamous visit when the top 4 quarterbacks were all in Washington at once. And Jaden's agent, now notoriously, was retweeting critical tweets that were critical of Washington for how they handled that and having all 4 quarterbacks there at the same time. So this was Jaden's opportunity on the record, asked about it.
Man, I control what I can control. At the end of the day, I know those guys. We're all very cool, and it was a fun visit. So it wasn't anything to it. I mean, they decided to invite all of us up there. We're just all blessed to be up there at the same time to share that experience.
Of course, Michael Penix was one of the quarterbacks there. Michael Penix was a Heisman finalist along with Jaden. So, I mean, everywhere that Jaden went in New York and that Heisman trip, Michael Penix was there as well. The 4 finalists with Penix and Nix and, of course, Marvin Harrison. I mean, when we were up there in New York in December, everything we were at, from the photo shoot at Raising Cane's in Times Square to, when they were whisked around town in a van doing all the sightseeing and everything, to the Heisman presentation itself. I mean, those guys were together all the time. So, yes, there is a friendliness there among them. But the other part of it, too, is that's why you have an agent. You have an agent to public. Let me not say it in an agent-player perspective. Let me put it in a different perspective that'll make sense. It's the role Roger Goodell plays for the owners. The role the agent plays for the player is the role Roger Goodell plays for the owners. Everybody hates Roger Goodell. When Roger Goodell walks on stage tonight, every time to make a pick, he is going to be roundly and summarily booed. Everyone lays at Roger Goodell's feet every ounce of everything they disagree with associated with the NFL. Roger Goodell is a mouthpiece for the owners. If he were that bad at his... Remember, he works at the pleasure of the owners. The owners could fire him, but they don't. They keep extending him, and they pay him $50 million a year. Why? Because under his leadership, the NFL has grown exponentially, and they've all become even richer than they are. So Roger Goodell will stand out front and say, I'll take your booze. I'll take your mean tweets. I'll take your darts. That check going to clear on the 1st and the 15th, right? That's Roger Goodell's approach. Same thing with an agent. I'll go retweet all the angry stuff about Washington. I'll go leak stories about other players. I'll leak information I want out there about my guy. The agent is working on behalf and at the pleasure of his client. So it allows Jaden to hang back and say, I'm cool, man. Hey, look, we had a good time to go hang out in Washington, the four of us, even if deep down he didn't like it, or maybe Jaden doesn't care. But his agent saw that as an opportunity for a leverage play. High dollar stakes, man. As we've talked about, with Jaden here, when you look at that draft slot value, once you get past 4, there's a massive fall. And each pick in the top 4 or 5 is separated by about $1 million. So even if you drop from 2 to 3 and it costs you $1 million, does it really matter? Post-tax, if you go to a better situation, it's kind of what they're thinking. Well, the other thing, too, that's been floated out there is the possibility of the Las Vegas Raiders moving from 13 up to 2 or 3 to select Jaden Daniels because, of course, the Raiders are coached by Antonio Pierce. As we've been through, Pierce was an assistant at Arizona State when Jaden was there. Jaden thanked him in his Heisman speech. There's a relationship there. Pierce, no doubt, would love to have Jaden Daniels. Diana Rossini had that report yesterday that we talked about. Well, Jaden was asked that point blank today on Get Up.
If I had the opportunity, I'd love to play with AP, but, I can't control that. I'm going to control where I go, and whatever organization drafts me is going to get the best out of me.
Jaden, never a man of many words, but he's saying all the right things here on the morning of the draft. So now we are 1 hour and 47 minutes away from the first pick, which will be Caleb Williams, and shortly thereafter we'll know if Jaden Daniels is going to be a commander there in our nation's capital. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. Is there any human listening to me right now that would say, I'm good. I wouldn't like a standby generator. You know what I'd like? I'd like for a storm to come knock out our power, and I'll just sit in the dark. Nobody thinks that. Literally every homeowner would be like, yes, I would love a Generac automatic home standby generator. Power goes out, boom, my generator kicks on, powers my whole house as if nothing ever happened. That's what Optimize does. They sell and service and install Generac automatic home standby generators. Now listen, a lot of people sell generators. A lot of people sell Generacs as well. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number one, there's a lot of reasons, but let me give you 2. Number one, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs. And no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. That's number one. Number 2, because that's all they do at Optimize. They're not a business, an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 1012 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between across the 1012 corridor. There's a physical Optimize location that can service you, that can get to your home, your place of business, whatever it is. It's Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. No need to call anybody else. generatorpeople.com. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com. Okay, y'all. It's After Further Review. Like I mentioned, only draft all throughout the hour in about 15 minutes. Muse, Paulie, and I will tell you what we think happens with the 3 LSU guys tonight and what the Saints do at 14. We'll get to that here in a smidge. You can get yours. If you have a feeling you want to get in, let me know your thoughts on it. Email me, tweet me, text me in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We'll get to that here shortly. When we come back, the other biggest storylines of this first round of the NFL draft. Are the Giants' interest in a quarterback? Has that been just a smokescreen to try to get Marvin Harrison? What might the Patriots be thinking at number 3? All of the draft analyst information that we've been able to collect throughout the course of the day today. We'll run through all of that next here on AFR.
AFR.
Man, we have been thrilled to be partnered with Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they wish the Saints good luck tonight. Who dat, as always. But remember, Rouse's, a great family-owned business that has grown to almost unimaginable heights as they've expanded here. You know, they've been in business for 100 years, been helping you make groceries for 60 of those years. It's a great opportunity, man, to get by Rouse's for whatever it is you're looking for. You want to swing by, pick up dinner tonight for the family? Rouse's. Everybody wants something different? No worries. If you want, fried chicken and French fries, they got it. If you want sushi, they got it. If you want a grab and go, sort of Asian bowl, like I love their teriyaki, their chicken and beef fried rice teriyaki bowls. They're awesome. You want to buy something there at the seafood market, you can do it at Rouse's. Throw a tuna steak on the grill at the house, whatever it is. You want to get some ice cold beer, some fine and fun wines, they got it at Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouse's. This feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Live After 5 is back this spring. Clock out and rock out with us Fridays from April 12th through May 24th in downtown Baton Rouge for the free concert series, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join us for another season filled with incredible music, delicious food, talented artists, and a lively second line parade. This Friday, come out to see Kenny Neal for Live After 5.
Adam Schefter was on SportsCenter today, and it's interesting that with every pick in this draft, it kind of feels like people are saying, well, the draft starts at blank. Schefter thinks that New England at 3 is the team to watch. Here was Adam's report earlier today.
Well, the team to watch right now, in my mind, would be the New England Patriots. They're sitting there at number 3 after the Bears, after the Commanders, and they get to determine whether they pick the next quarterback in line or whether they want to trade that pick to the Minnesota Vikings or New York Giants. Those are the two teams that have expressed an interest in coming up, but the Patriots have a decision to make. Do they want to go take their quarterback, Drake May or J.J. McCarthy? Both have support within the building, or do they want to get a lot of compensation in return? The Vikings are more desperate. They have more ammunition, but the Giants are closer.
It's interesting because by and large, I think the consensus has been that the Giants will take Malik Neighbors at 6 if he's on the board or move back. But now you're starting to hear the rumblings about the Giants potentially moving up. Well, Matt Miller, of course, is an NFL draft analyst for ESPN, was on Carlin and Joe earlier today, and he does not think the Giants are at all interested in drafting a quarterback. He thinks this is the game they're playing to get another player to fall to them.
No one has told me that the Giants like Drake May. I keep seeing it from fellow media members. So maybe they just have better people to talk to than I do. But I haven't had anyone in the NFL tell me that the Giants like Drake May. It kind of feels a little smoke screeny that the Giants are really hoping the 4 quarterbacks go in the top 5 so that they could potentially get Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 6 overall. If they can get someone to jump up for one of these quarterbacks, worst case scenario, you're getting Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze. You're getting a great wide receiver. So I would just throw this out there. I think it benefits the Giants to let people know that they would like to move up because you're really forcing someone's hand. You're telling the Minnesota Vikings, you better not sit at 11 and try to draft a quarterback because we'll take one at 6 if he's there.
Let me give you an example close to home, and it's a painful one, but if you go back to 2017, the Saints were sitting there at 11, and they were going to take Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs moved up from 25, 27. Look that up, please. The Chiefs were in the 20s, 25, 27, and they moved all the way up to 10 to take Patrick Mahomes that year. And it's kind of a lesson learned, though, where quarterbacks. There's Brian Kelly on ESPN right now. He's on the SportsCenter set, sitting right next to Nick Saban. That's funny. By the way, we need to be able to pipe into that sound. I don't know if we could stream it or whatever. We got to figure out a way. So when there's something like that, we can go live to it. Because I'd love to go live right now to Brian Kelly on this. Because Brian Kelly and Nick Saban right now live on ESPN are having some interaction on College Game Day on ESPN, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we'll have to see what he said later. But back to the point is, we didn't know very publicly that the Saints coveted Patrick Mahomes the way that they did. They kept that under wraps. So if the Giants really, truly were coveting a quarterback here, chances are they'd keep it under wraps because they wouldn't want a team like Minnesota to come up and challenge them for that player. You don't want people to know what you're doing. So I think that's why Matt Miller, his intuition there is probably good. And when people around the NFL are saying, well, the Giants covered J.J. McCarthy, they're not going to put that information out there if they actually covet J.J. McCarthy when there's the chance someone could take them before they do. It's like playing poker. You're not going to show your cards to anybody. It puts you at a disadvantage. And for what it's worth, J.J. McCarthy did make a visit to New Orleans, and he loved that experience.
The New York Giants, I had a great time with them, met with them twice, went out there for a 30 visit, and they came for a private workout as well as, showing up on pro day. So just being able to, spin the pill on Easter Sunday was just a blast, and being out there with the guys doing that was so much fun. And, Coach Dable, Mr. Shane, Coach Kafka, Coach Tierney, just great guys and great football guys. So it was just awesome to be with them.
So it feels like if the Giants – Hester was here in hour number 1. And Hester told us, he was, of course, drafted by the Chargers. Hester said, if you had asked me going into the draft where I was going, I'd have told you Detroit. They showed the most interest. They loved him. They felt the best about Detroit. He said he had virtually no contact whatsoever with the Chargers. And that's a pretty familiar refrain, because if you really covet a team, don't let someone know you covet them, because then you give them leverage against you. So if the Giants are actually out there leaking that they like J.J. McCarthy, they probably don't like J.J. McCarthy. So I think the theory that they're hoping Marvin Harrison falls is probably right. But if they're sitting there at 6 and they have an opportunity to draft Malik Neighbors, of course they're going to do that. They paid Daniel Jones a lot of money. They need weapons. They'll get a Malik Neighbors if he's on the board at 6. The question is whether or not Marvin Harrison comes off the board there. The other team that's of great interest as we sort of factor out, and remember, through the New Orleans Saints lens, your hope is that you see every quarterback, every receiver, all these players come off the board before you pick. You want somebody to trade up to take J.J. McCarthy. You want somebody trading up to take Bo Nix. There's reports today that Michael Penix could go as high as 13, 12 or 13, maybe 12 to Denver. That's starting to bubble today. Maybe Penix becomes a top 15 pick. Like, you've seen his draft odds to become a first rounder go way up today. So is that smokescreen? Is it real? Does a team actually covet Michael Penix? Are the Raiders at 13 maybe a team looking for a quarterback? They take Penix there. I don't know. But if you're a Saints fan, that's what you want. You are pumped every time a quarterback, any player that's not an offensive lineman comes off the board. Every time a quarterback comes off the board, a receiver comes off the board, you're pumped because that gives you more options at your biggest position of need. But Jeff Darlington was on SportsCenter, another draft analyst, who was asked about the Minnesota Vikings. Again, these are the teams that are going to dictate. It's in a quarterback-heavy draft, the quarterback-needy teams, which is basically half the league, they're going to dictate round 1. Minnesota is one that everyone sort of roundly agrees could be a candidate to move up after they let Kirk Cousins walk to Atlanta. So here was Darlington on who Minnesota might actually covet.
The question is, how much are they willing to give up for what quarterback? Now, I'm told throughout this draft process that they have had their eyes on Drake May. And surely May is one of those quarterbacks we expect to go early. The New England Patriots currently hold the 3rd overall pick. Now, they could end this debate and take May on their own, or they could open their ears to a potential trade from the Vikings. If the Vikings were to trade up to 3rd, May would be the person that we would be watching. I'm told that there are no other quarterbacks that would covet that kind of attention for the Vikings at this point.
Jeff Darlington on SportsCenter. Muse and Paulie, I'll put you on the spot. By the way, I think it's chalk in the first 3. I think Chicago, Washington, New England, stay put, and in order draft Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I think that happens, and then the draft starts at 4. If the Cardinals take Marvin Harrison, or if they trade out of that pick and someone comes up to take J.J. McCarthy and you see 4 consecutive quarterbacks. That's where I think we see chalk. 1, 2, 3. I do not think we see a trade in the top 3 picks. Muse, you got a thought?
No, I think we do see a trade.
In the top 3?
Yes.
Who?
Well, I think it could very well be New England. For a lot of the smokescreen stuff that you were talking about, I mean, their GM, Elliott Wolf, was like, we're open for business, and now he's been saying, oh, we've had calls, but the offers haven't been good. Sounds like he's probably wanting to see if he can get a better offer than something that he's already had. But I think New England's serious about potentially trading out of there. So I think you do see one and probably at number 3 with New England.
Paulie?
I think the trade talks are real, but I agree with you. I think we see chalk in the top 3.
If you're New England, you have to ask yourself this question. Like, you whiffed on Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. You stink. You stink.
Yeah. You have Jacoby Brissett right now, I think?
You stink. Yes. Of course, Gerard Mayo played with Jacoby Brissett, 1-year stopgap, veteran who a rookie could learn behind. You're at 3. You can draft your franchise quarterback at 3. It's either going to be Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. Like, why are you overthinking this? I mean, unless if they feel like, hey, we love Michael Penix or Bo Nix better, which I don't think anybody thinks that right now. Maybe they do. But, and so you're feeling, what if Denver comes up and we go back to 12 and we can get one of those guys there? Maybe that's it. But if you feel like you're getting your franchise quarterback, You could, with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything at all the Chiefs, any amount of picks the Chiefs would give up or would take back in exchange for Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Of course not. Nobody cares about the draft capital. So the point is, if you're New England and you draft Drake May at 3 and you believe he's your franchise for the next decade, there's no amount of picks anybody could give you to move up to say that's worth giving you my franchise quarterback. It's the hardest thing in the NFL to find, hardest thing in professional sports to find, is an elite starting quarterback. And when you find one, it's what the Saints did with Drew Brees. You hold on until the damn wheels fall off of that wagon. So I think at some point you just don't overthink this. Like, you take a guy that many think might be the best quarterback in this draft in Drake May. I don't think that. But if he's there at 3, I think New England takes it. We'll see. But, I mean, we may see because everybody needs quarterbacks, because half the league is in search of a quarterback. I mean, literally, it's like, what do we do the math? Like 14 teams in the league, something like that need a starting quarterback? I mean, if you can get one in a draft where this is a quarterback-heavy draft, yeah, I do think we see a lot of moves in round 1. Those top 3, I don't think they budge off of those 3 picks. We'll see. We'll be over at Don Juan tonight. We're looking forward to it. We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You want to go have the most exquisite Sashiri A5 Wagyu. It's like, $35 an ounce. You can do it at Supper Club. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge because Brandon and Mackenzie Landry love this place and said, we want to bring these experiences that most people you can only have if you go other places. We want to bring it to Louisiana. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Y'all, we're heading into the weekend, remember? Open seating at the bar. They just introduced open seating at the bar. First come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Remember, you can always throw on a sport coat, but a sport coat is not mandatory for gentlemen at Supper Club. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final or a break. Otterlocks is coming up in about 15 minutes. Jimmy will be here. We'll see if he's got any other plays. It's tricky because when you get this close to the draft, a lot of the line movement is such, and so much is solidified that a lot of things come off the board by this point. So the real value in the draft and making wagers for the draft is probably off the board. So we'll see if Otter's got anything else for us tonight, maybe NBA, MLB with Otterlocks coming up here a little more than 10 minutes from right now. When we come back, where do the 3 LSU players go? Where do the Saints do at 14? Muse, Paulie, and I will give you our predictions. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, Seagoneer Airline, LA16 in Dedham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local. Y'all, the weather is gorgeous. Spring is here. The 100-degree temps are around the corner, but not here yet. It's a great opportunity. Get a little exercise. Get a little vitamin D from the sunshine. Get out in your yard and just plant something. Clegg's can make it happen. If you need mulch or soil, they got it. Bag, bulk, no problem. If you need plants or flowers to plant, they got it. Pop a color into those patio pots or your flower beds. Clegg's can help because they have shipments arriving daily. They got a great selection and great prices and the most helpful staff. I can't imagine why you'd go anywhere else. They're convenient because they're strategically located all over town, so you're near a Clegg's no matter where you are in the greater Baton Rouge area. Their prices are great. Their people are the most friendly. Par for the course when you've been doing it for 6 decades. It's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And
After further review with Matt Moscona.
I think Detroit has embraced the draft. Brian McCarthy, who's the NFL PR guy, just tweeted a photo of the security camera image from the draft in Detroit. Can you pull that up real quick, Paulie? If you haven't seen, he's on Twitter at NFL PR guy if you want to give him a follow. There's 150,000 people estimated in this square outside of where the draft is happening. That is an almost uncomfortable mass of humanity in that area. If you're smack dab in the middle of that, you ain't going nowhere, and you ain't going nowhere in a hurry. I mean, that's like if you're in the middle of Jazz Fest, like the main stage of Jazz Fest for, I mean, the biggest crowd I ever saw at Jazz Fest was Dave Matthews like 20 years ago. That's what that would probably feel like. That's incredible. Salute to Detroit. I mean, they don't have a lot of great things going in Detroit, so you get a draft, you're going to show up and show out. Good on you.
I hope you have like a tailgate chair if you're in the middle of that, man. To stand the whole time, that's brutal.
And it's a long draft, too, man.
Yeah, I know.
First round's going to roll four hours usually.
You think they're going to let Eminem announce one of the Lions picks? They should. That'd be pretty cool.
Normally they announce that beforehand.
Yeah.
If there's people that are like, did you see Sauce Gardner? Or did you see Sauce Gardner's tweet earlier today?
I did not see Sauce Gardner's tweet.
Let me pull it up. So Sauce Gardner's supposed to be making a pick for the Jets. Hold on.
They're letting a current player make a pick.
That's not uncommon.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's not uncommon. Here it is. This was at 10:35 this morning. Sauce Gardner tweeted, "If we draft Rome, Bowers, Marvin Harrison, Neighbors, or Joe Alt, I will be announcing the pick today. If anybody else besides the guys I name are the pick at 10, y'all will not see me announcing the pick." He was like throwing straight shade. Like when you're a dude and you have that type of job security, you can do that on Twitter to your organization. So we'll see what the Jets end up doing. That's so good. So good. 10. I mean, I don't know. Thought for the Jets at 10? Have you given that any thought?
Not really, no. Receiver does make a lot of sense.
If Malik were to slide, I could see, and it's hard to see him getting to 10. The only way I could see that happen is if you see the run on, if like 5 quarterbacks go in the top 10, maybe you could see that happen. I think Bowers at 10 could be a real possibility as well. I don't think Bowers gets past 10. I think if Bowers on the board, the Jets probably take him at 10.
Yeah, Alt's an interesting one there, too.
If he's on the board. But
I can't see him getting to 10 either. I mean, I don't know do you see a lot of buzz around J.C. Latham right now?
Well, 5.
Yeah, at 5.
So that's been all the conversation today is that apparently Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers are going to go offensive line at 5, and Latham is the guy that they're targeting. So we'll see. I mean, again, it could be a smoke screen. It's what makes the draft so intriguing. Yeah. I mean, we're doing an entire show surrounding like names that are going to be called at a podium. That's played a dance. It's fascinating. It's fascinating theater. It's a fascinating exercise in just the human experience, the NFL draft. But yes, J.C. Latham at 5 gained a ton of steam overnight, and that's almost the odds on. I mean, I could check right now to see what the odds are. Go ahead.
But if that is what ends up happening, I don't even see Alt getting past 8. Getting past the Tennessee Titans at 7, right? I think is where they are. So I mean, they need offensive line help too.
Yes, and I completely they do. You're right. Yes, unless if there's a quarterback needy team
who trades
that
up.
Jumps up to 7 to take whomever may be on the board, and I think J.J. McCarthy is the guy that likely falls. I think we've talked about. I think what will happen is chalk through the first 3. We talked about that. I do think Arizona will pick Marvin Harrison at 4. I don't know that we get a trade until Minnesota or the Raiders are able to move up. And it really becomes a matter of what someone's willing to give up or what someone's willing to accept to move back. And I think the Giants are going to make a pick at 6. I think it's going to be Malik. I think Tennessee at 7 is probably the first time you see a trade. Now, we may see 5 trades before then.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just looking at it thinking, if I'm a quarterback needy team in the top 3, why in the world am I moving off of one of those guys? That's why I can't see it happen.
The offensive line depth, specifically at tackle, makes it easier too for a team like Tennessee to be like, okay, we can get a guy that we like later in the draft too if you do trade up.
So
trade
Drake May is minus 350 to be the 3rd pick. Marvin Harrison is minus 350 to be the 4th pick. And then J.C. Latham has jumped up to be the betting favorite to be the 5th pick at plus 240. So you're still getting a great number there, but for context, Latham is plus 240, J.J. McCarthy is plus 250, and Joe Alt's plus 300. So they're very closely clumped all there together, but essentially the books are hedging here with the possibility of Latham, with however that news started with Latham going to the Chargers, it's legit enough to where these numbers moved significantly overnight. All right, hit me with some music here, Muse, if you would.
I forgot. That's my bad.
Well, it's not my fault.
Oh, I know that.
I'm not the one over there pushing buttons.
Oh, I know. Sorry.
That's not the one I want. No,
I know. I'm giving you a filler. I didn't want to have
don't
nothing.
do that.
Okay.
No, you're going to confuse the audience. I don't want to go from one to another. Just give me the thing that I wanted. It'll allow me to remind everybody, because Muse screwed up, that I'll have an opportunity here. By the way, everyone he talked to at Career Day yesterday, don't listen to anything he said.
That's
we will be at Don Juan Cigar Bar, so as soon as we wrap up here in about 15 minutes, we're all heading over to Don Juan in Town Center. Come hang out with us. We're looking forward to a great night. We'll be there from the time we get there until the last pick is made. There'll be drink specials, cigar specials. There'll be vendors there with cigars and cocktails, trying different stuff. Our staff will be there. We're looking forward to it. We're hanging out all night, so come hang out with us at Don Juan Cigar Bar in Town Center. If you can't be at Don Juan, join us on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Okay. Do you have it?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Thank you. There we go.
I got the chime, too.
I don't know that we have time for the chime.
All right.
So let's just blow and go. All right, hit it. Yeah, hit the chime.
You love the chime. Come on.
I love the chime. I love the chime. But we're just running out of time for the chime. All right, 14. What do the Saints do?
They take an offensive lineman, either Fashion New.
No, there is no if in that. Blah, blah, blah. What do they do? Make the pick.
They take Fashion New.
Okay, Holly.
I'm also going Fashion New.
3 for 3. If it's and weeks ago, that was my, hey, I'm like, it's one thing good about the digital era. Everything is recorded. You can find weeks ago. That's where we settled here. So that would be my dream scenario. Olu Fashanu at 14, a guy that was a top 10 talent if he'd come out a year ago. Tremendous upside, still a young player. If he's there at 14, dream scenario for New Orleans, your biggest need, a guy who might be the best offensive lineman in this draft. To be able to get him there at 14, I love it. All right, hit the chime again, Muse. Malik Neighbors, Muse.
I like Malik Neighbors. I'm with you. I like him to the Giants at 6.
Paulie.
I'm going Malik Neighbors to the Chargers at 5.
Oh!
I think there's smoke screens going on. They lost basically all their pass catchers. They lost Ekeler. They have no receivers at all. I'm going Malik Neighbors 5 to the Chargers.
I think the Chargers go offensive line. Jim Harbaugh's a line of scrimmage coach. So, he built his team in San Francisco around the line. He built his team in Michigan around the line of scrimmage. He's a line of scrimmage coach. I think they're going offensive. I think the Chargers go offensive line at 5. Latham, Alt, I don't know. But I think Neighbors is the pick at 6. Okay. Thank you, Muse. Thank you. You're close to redeeming yourself. Brian Thomas Jr., Muse.
I think Brian Thomas Jr. goes 17th to Jacksonville.
Paulie.
I'm going to go a little sleeper pick here. I'm going to go 25 to Green Bay.
Oh, I like it, Paulie.
Paul, you're bringing it.
Look at Paulie being a little creative, a little one-off. Yeah, I think you're going to be dead wrong on these, but I love that you're putting it out there. I do have a lot of friends in Jacksonville on 1010XL. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars flagship. Our buddy Frank Frangie is the radio voice of the Jags. They love Brian Thomas in Jacksonville. If he's on the board, I think Brian Thomas is a Jacksonville Jaguar. Oh, Jaden. Yeah, Jaden. Well, Jaden's going 2.
Washington. I thought we'd still do it.
Jaden's going 2 to Washington?
Yeah, he's going 2 to Washington.
2 to Washington. Yeah, Jaden's going 2 to Washington.
I never wanted to predict a trade. Paul's been brazen over here. I thought he might predict a trade.
Hit it again. All right. Paulie, who's going up to number 2 to take Jaden Daniels?
That would be the Washington Commanders.
Okay. The Kansas City Chiefs going up to 2 to take. All right, it's after further review. We got Auto Locks next. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. Start there. Most user-friendly website in real estate. You know, one of the things that's awesome about Darren is if you go follow Darren on social media, his social media is basically an exercise in giving you valuable information. Just free information. Like, here's helpful tips on buying or selling. There's a post he's got up right now, like, what do you need to know before building a new home? Bring extra money to closing. He talks about why that's important. Just go follow Darren on all of his social media. I promise you, if you're buying or selling, you love real estate or interested, there's going to be so much value for you there if you follow Darren James on any social media platforms. But listen, if you're buying or selling, you need a real estate agent, you need Darren James. Go to agent225.com. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
Oh, finishing up cooking, trying to put this stuff in the can before I head to done.
Oh, man. Phone's breaking up on us.
You there? Are you there?
There we go. All right, you're
Okay.
good. Anything else of value with good numbers right now here, an hour and 7 minutes out?
You know, we went through the whole list today on the show. What we like, what we have bets on, and what we still. The one that most 90% of them, I've got good closing value. I got a better number, but one that I don't is Malik Neighbors going as the 4th overall pick. And I compared it a couple of years ago to. You know, we know that if Arizona stays with that pick, we got a strong feeling that they're going to take a wide receiver. That's all the report. There's some word that they have Neighbors higher than Harris on the board. Like when Gardner in Stingley were coming out. You know, the Texans, we got out that they were going to take one. Well, it was very low odds on Gardner. It was like 18-1 on Stingley. It's anywhere from 14 to 20 to 1 right now.
I'm looking at DraftKings has it at plus 1,700 for Neighbors to go for.
Look, Matt, we're throwing darts, okay? I mean, but
1 minute remaining.
That's worth it, man. They got a hole there, and we think they are. Another one we got on recently. Some people have taken it off. Rams trying to move up to get Bowers from Georgia. So the Rams to take the tight end earlier about an hour ago is at 6-1 plus 600.
So team specials, Rams first position taken tight end.
Yes.
All right. So let's see, NFC West. I'm looking right now. Otter Rams tight end would be plus 500.
There you go.
So
and Sixers in a hoop tonight.
Sixers. Oh. All right, Otter.
Get ready, Don Juan. Come on, Don Juan.
Lewis side. All right, Otter. We'll see you over there. Thanks, man.
All right. Bye.
All right, be well. That's going to do it for us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. We look forward to seeing you over at Don Juan. If you can't be there, join us on YouTube. Muse, Paulie, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at